too many resources with others, even though those resources might be, beneficial to and spill back, have effects, positive effects on the economic growth of Team White. It could also displace Team White's power, and in terms of power dynamic. So sometimes what I've learned is that other groups who are not as scarcity minded, they will sacrifice what we look at as financial gain to maintain their power that they have worked so hard and tirelessly and hell recklessly, you can call all types of things, unscrupulously, to gain.
So put in the chat that money is power. I don't agree. I think money is purchasing power, right? Like you could buy some shit, but obviously with the money that black folks consume and those numbers, we ain't gonna, let's please not start quoting off the numbers. We know what the numbers are. Buying power is. It don't equate to no political power. It don't equate to no.
Not unless you convert it. You can convert money to power.
Well, hold on.
And that's one thing we have not done.
Oh, wait. You messed up my bills, sister. So the fact of the matter is that we spend a lot of money on a lot of things. It has not manifested in real political power, real knowledge, real understanding on how to get things done. That's where the power is in people who have knowledge of self, the people who have the ability to put together projects and move things. And like those are the people that are in power. Most of the people in this America, a lot of people in America, y'all know we have a large segment of Americans that are just not bright, right? And so people who are not bright, people who ain't in touch with their cognitive, et cetera, most vulnerable and easiest group of people to manipulate. This is a fact. Like when you don't know shit, people could just tell you shit and you just gonna go on. That's what's going on in America. So yeah.
I don't think it's the lack of intelligence. I think it's the lack of the knowledge of how power works. Because black people are amongst the most intelligent and innovative people in the world, specifically black Americans. Okay, but at the end of the day, also some of the greatest in terms of being disenfranchised. The thing is, there's a lack of understanding of how power works. And that money, even though black Americans are considered to have, the greatest spending power, buying power, whatever you want to call it, out of all other black groups around the world, black Americans we have not been able to convert that power successfully. What we do is we go for the quick wins. Oh, let me go get that new BMW. Oh, let me go get those Jordans or those Louboutins. Oh, let me get that fancy house. Oh, let me go get another degree at a fancy institution. Because we will settle for that individual, that quick little bit of power that we think we get. People are going to look at me and they're going to know that I'm somebody. But we don't, as a collective, organize. We don't have the lobbyist groups on our side. Like, we don't have our own groups to go out and really lobby for causes that are near and dear to us. We don't gatekeep. We don't practice nepotism. We're not even in positions to help other people, other minorities, and so it leaves us to be the most disrespected.
I can't be mad at those groups. You might not be part of those groups, but a lot of us are. So it's like when you're saying these things, it sounds weird because it's like a lot of us are in these spaces, and we are, collectively organizing and pushing the things that we want to at a local level, at a state level.
Are you Black American?
Yes.
I'm not.
Okay, I'm only speaking for Black Americans. That's all I'm speaking for. I don't know about everybody else.
But a lot of people
Tim, you better cut it out.
Black American.
With your white ass.
Yeah, so
my daddy's black.
Let me say this to you.
My dad's black. That makes me black. That's what they say.
You better stop, Kim.
So, sister, let me tell you something. Sin is impacting lives, right? Well, like sin is having an impact on all types of lives here in New York, right? So am I. So the work that we do, we're doing what we got to do. That's number one. And you and I agree on certain things. Yeah, when you came in, you just chose us. So I said, push it and go. It's not like, why wouldn't you add on to it? Like, we're not against each other, and we shouldn't be having a communication where we trying to prove one person's point is more valid than the other. Like, you started that way. And you're being disrespectful to people who are actually doing the work. So please don't say, I agree with you about the overall buying attitudes and how we approach consumerism and all that, right? People are out here doing the work. So please don't say we're not. Say that you are not, right? Tell us what you, okay, wait, tell us what you are doing. Me and Sin don't have to go back and forth because she looks out for me and I would look out for her, right? In that regard of what our impact is. She's having an impact, and I won't let that statement that you make just go just without responding to it. People are out here doing the work.
Okay, I'm not denying that. I'm only speaking from my perspective on Black Americans. I think that Black Americans have a lot to learn from other minority groups because they come in and in less time have done more. Now, it's funny the people that are in the chat that are sitting here coming for me.
Do you live with
well, let me just say this.
So you're telling me a straight.
It's the people in the chat coming for me talking about I'm a broke N-word and all this stuff. These are people, that's very same people who only, their whole identity is wrapped up in their fraternity and sorority. Miss Renita, Kappa Alpha Psi, and Mr. Fishbelly, Masonic. Okay, y'all are part of the problem. That's what I mean about the little quick, cheap power grab. Instead of helping out your community overall, you're like, well, I'm good. I got my little clique, and we all look out for each other. We all got jobs. We all paid. That's what I'm saying.
Do you live with
and you got something to say, you come up on the stage.
Do you live with Asians? Do you live with Spanish people? Do you live with Polish people? Do you live with other, like, have you spent years of your life living in those communities? I'm curious.
My mother's Puerto Rican, so I see the difference and the way
That's your mother's Puerto Rican.
Latin Americans come together.
Listen,
You got
something is weird.
She went from
Something is
black
weird.
to white to mixed to
Something
Puerto
is
Rican.
weird.
Oh my
Something is
God.
weird. Okay, Mel.
I'm trying to
Go ahead, Mel.
Kimberly, you
Go
better
ahead,
stop, Kimberly.
Yeah, wait, give me a love.
Are you black? 1 second, Robert. Are you black or Puerto Rican?
My mom is Puerto Rican.
Then why did you switch?
I speak Spanish.
What is
What's
she?
your father?
She
What is your
keeps
father?
telling, no, what is she? Why
She
we gotta
claims,
keep
right now she
comparing?
just claimed her daddy black, her mother's Puerto Rican. Other
So-
times she claims she
Oh.
white, okay?
Oh.
And she has her name Kim on her first account.
Mel, help
Bashing
us
black
out.
people.
Whoa.
Now she don't know what she is. She confused, guys.
When I have my picture up, everybody call me white. And I told them, even in real life, people look at me as Puerto Rican. They don't see me as white. Until I correct them, I say I'm black.
Texture of your voice
Wait,
sounds like that of a Caucasian
Wait.
person.
Wait.
Yeah, you sound Caucasian.
See, Dupree, you be missing it. Can you give me that math again, please, ma'am?
My mother is Puerto Rican. She's a white Puerto Rican. My dad he's black, but he's a light-skinned black dude. I look like I'm Puerto Rican. Nobody has ever guessed it. No one has ever confused me for a white person. Other than on the app based on my voice. In person, people think I'm biracial or they think I'm Hispanic, point blank. And I identify as black.
Great.
And it's Santos, your last name?
Wow.
That's my mother's maiden name.
Chat and Mel are too quiet right now. This is I'm not used to this.
You hear me thinking, Dupree?
Yeah, because she is her daddy black, so she knew to come off the mic and say, yes, that's my mom's maiden name, because I was about to check her ass. Really, so your father didn't recognize you, because you are the...
No, he recognized me.
There's
No,
a first time for everything.
and my mom has always told me I was black.
Puerto Rican.
My mom has always told me I was black, because she's
This is the
the
first time I'm
only
hearing
one in
her
her.
say
She's the only one in her family that got with a black guy.
My mom tells me I'm black.
Kim, you remember you told me that you got a nose job so that it could align with your wig?
I did get a nose job. Because my
remember
nose
you told
was,
me that story
was
in
one of the
season
things
one?
I was very insecure about. I wanted to look like a freaking cousins who had the cute, like, big
She told me season 1 that she got a nose job so it could align with her wig. That's what she told
I
me.
know you
Are
lying.
you talking down the
Yes!
Girl, what are we
No, I
doing?
would be really ashamed of my
Ma'am,
black
are you a
features. I did. I was
No,
very ashamed of my
I
black
am-
features.
I
My mom always told me I was beautiful, but I wanted to look like her. My mom
She,
always told me
she
I was beautiful,
admitted
but I
to
wanted
it.
to
She
look
knows.
like
She
her.
said it to me.
Wait.
Yeah,
Why
I
are you
did get a
talking
nose
about-
job.
Let me ask you a question. Why are you talking bad about Georgia but getting nose jobs?
Because I did not like my black features. I didn't think that I looked good. I thought it made me look masculine.
But why not get on the stage?
Slow
and be like,
down.
I
Did
did
she
this?
just
Slow
say she don't
down.
like
Y'all
my
not
black
slowing
features
it
because she's
down.
black?
She said she didn't like her black features.
That's wow. That's wow. Well, I'm a man.
I've done a lot of
Move myself
self-work
in the
since-
That's what
conversation.
she said.
So
I'm a
today,
man.
do
I'm gonna shut-
you embrace the part of you that is black? Do you embrace that?
Yes, I do. But
She
I
said
have been a
ChatGPT
victim of
is her-
featureism.
Chat. She said ChatGPT is her therapist, so she's worked on herself.
Oh my. Okay, so you embrace the black part of you now, but you think that black people have something to learn from other races.
Yes. My father's side of the family is so disjointed, it's not even funny. I'm not saying my mom's side is perfect, but I have learned about community from her side of the family. And it's really sad. I see the impacts of, I guess, systemic racism and everything in America. One of the goals is to keep us divided. And I think a lot of us are victims of that. Now, there's some people who find their groups. So, again, I'm not mad at y'all that's part of the AKAs and the fraternities and all that stuff, but you have to realize that you're not, you're the exception, not the rule.
You only speak in stereotype and phenotype. That's the only language that you understand. And it's weird that you can throw a blanket statement like that when you that isn't even your experience, when you actually have the honor to be in community with black folks. That is an honor. Let me tell you about black people. The most peaceful people I know are black folks. You know why? Because we ain't burned this son of a bitch up a long time ago. Because we could have. Systemically, we are consistently starting behind the starting line, and yet and still, we still manage to succeed. We don't have the barriers of entry that other races have, and yet we still succeed. We don't have a whole system on our backs that works against us, including the medical field. That nose job, I bet if they saw you as black and you had some pain, they would question you. Regardless if you acknowledge the black that is within you, society sees that, and they would treat you as such. So the fact that you look at black people the way that you do shows us, including with the nose job that you got, that you have a problem with yourself. And so the work that needs to be done, and I say this in love, is to do some researching on the black part of your family, because there should be some pride there. Because black people are some of the most loving, empathetic people I've ever met in my life. Because we haven't conquered nations. We haven't put blankets on full of smallpox on an entire race of people to kill them off. We also haven't killed their only means of food sources. We also haven't taken over countries. We also didn't put people on ships in the millions and sent them over to a country that they didn't know to tell them that they were less than. We also have never created a law that told people that you are only 1/5 of a person, 3/5 of a person. All of the things that have been done to us, and yet and still we are here, there should be a level of pride that you have, because that resilience in black folks is in you. So I suggest that you look more into the black parts of you, get an understanding, and have some pride, because you're actually missing out on an amazing part of who you are by talking the way that you do. And I'm done.
I completely agree with you. That was many years ago that I got the nose job. I went to Columbia and I got it done. And yeah, I did. I was a fan of wigs. And it just, again, my whole look did not come together right. That's one thing that most people who are mixed race know, that some of us don't come out, like the features don't always go together. I always was jealous of my Puerto Rican cousins, the ones that were full Puerto Rican. I was always jealous of their cute features. And I realized that a lot of that was rooted in internalized racism and self-hatred, anti-blackness. But at the end of the day, I've worked through it, and I'm working through it.
That's all I ask, is that you work through it, because it's beautiful over here. It is beautiful over here. I'm telling you. Like, think about it. Think about all the things around the world that have been done to black folks, and yet and still we're still here. Think about that.
I love my broad nose. I love.
Yeah, I don't have
my shit could have. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. My shit could have. Look, my shit could have went loose. I'm glad it stopped. Like, where it stopped at. Let's be clear. And I'm glad it has a nice shape. Well, whew, that was a close call, but I am proud of my broad nose. I feel like the king of Zumunda. Like, I love my African black large nose. I love it. I'm sorry, I was just venting, but go ahead.
I want to share something else that might help too a little bit. And sister, I hope this helps for you as well too. A lot of times, and I'm not saying that college is the way of learning something, but sometimes as Black people, we need to learn how our people have experienced things, maybe in different parts of the country or in different families. Our families are usually the first level of how we learn about our Blackness and our culture. But, you know, when we get to those ages when we start striking out on our own, we get to learn a little, hopefully, I would think, you would meet people, Black people from different parts of the country, Black people from different parts of the diaspora. And as you talk to them, you get a little bit of a better sense of, you know, not only what we've gone through culturally or even knowing where to go. For me, growing up in Gary, I always understood white flight, at least from Gary's perspective. But then when I met people from Detroit, I understood the politics around that, which tells me a little bit about the people around that. And different places where I would go, I would learn bit by bit by bit. Sometimes that helps you out in discovering who you are, because then you start figuring out, to the comment of, well, this is what I think Black people can do. You start figuring out what has been done, and also and maybe appreciate what people are trying to do as well too. It can also be a help to you in certain situations. I have a buddy of mine, and we still laugh about this day. This happened about 30 years ago, so keep it in mind. He had a recruiter that was trying very hard to get him to move to Martinsville, Indiana. And I remember I was at Ford. He called me. He said, "Pierre, this recruiter is telling me about some suburb in Indianapolis called Martinsville. I hadn't heard of it." The significance of this is that Martinsville is a very well-known racist part of it's in southern Indiana, and outside of anything the Bloomington normal. At least it's a little bit better now, but southern Indiana is racist as hell. Used to be the Klan capital literally in 1930s, 1940s, and you still had a generation that lived about it. Make a long story short, the recruiter was trying to convince him to live in Martinsville, which is about an hour out from Indianapolis. This is like telling somebody that Toledo is a suburb of Detroit, or that Milwaukee is a suburb of Chicago. But they were trying to do it because they wanted to bring a Black person on without thinking about where they would live, or thinking that they would be stuck in Martinsville and be okay with that. And my friend had not called me, if I had not expressed that to him, this is what's going, this is what happens in Indiana, don't take the job, he probably would have taken, I'm not going to say he would have taken that job, but it would have been likely that he would have. So I say all this to say, learn from other people about what their perspective is about being Black. And I mean from everybody, whether they are in a frat sorority, whether they're in a church, or something broader in a diaspora. And each little bit will inform you a lot more, and it really will inform you a lot more about what we are as a people and what things are about as well too. So I hope that helps.
Do we have silence now? We got silence.
I feel like every time I talk, I mean,
no, it's cool.
I feel bad.
You know what it is. The reason why I didn't get involved in that last exchange, because I think men should be aware of, like, when you go through a back and forth with women, and I just never want to be that guy, because it just, you can have a small debate, but I think when you get into looks and noses and all of that kind of thing, I don't think that's the proper space for a man to be in, engaging with a woman like that. That's just the shit. That's just how I stand on that. Like, so I know I have women in here that are, we reflect the same mindset, and so I will always allow women to deal with women. And I guess this message is for the guys in the room, not the women. But we got to stop that gossip shit and all of that, and we got to chill. We got to chill sometime. And so that's
the
me.
most gossipy
That is
person
me.
saying this?
I'm not gossiping. One thing I'm not is gossipy.
You be gossipy and over talking. What are we talking about?
What do I? Oh, Brian, hold on, Brian. Maybe I could be long-winded. I could be long-winded.
I don't know if you're saying nothing, but I have to address it because
no, but Brian. Yeah, I could be a little wordy. I'm working on it. I could be a little long-winded. I accept that. That is my thing, and I'm learning to be less words. I'm learning. But one thing I'm not is a fucking gossiper, B. Like, ain't anybody will tell you that I don't do that gossip shit.
Did you fit, Robert? You didn't feel I was trying to gossip, Dorian.
No, Pierre, not at all. Nah, bro, that wasn't directed at you. Yeah, no.
I'm the only one talking. He's belaboring. Hold on, what's happening?
I was just taking a moment just to acknowledge a moment. That's all. That's all I was doing. And Brian, yeah, BB, I don't gossip, bro. Like,
Robert,
we debate about politics.
Tell you why I said something. There were two men talking, me and Pierre. What are we doing? I mean, man. Look at who was talking. You didn't
like
say
talking and gossiping are two different.
Robert, let me finish. You didn't say like at times this that you specifically mentioned this conversation. Two men were talking. I talked a little bit. Pierre talked some. That was it, to my understanding. So what are we talking about?
No. I wasn't addressing that to anybody. I wasn't addressing that to you or him. It was just a thought that was being expressed out loud. That's all it is. If I'm gonna direct something at anybody, believe me, I'm gonna put your name on it. But no, that was no shot at you guys. That was no sub, none of that. But thank you, Brian. Yeah, you probably thought I was. Yeah, no, not that Pierre, Brian. No.
I hear you, Rob.
My bad.
No, but that is also a fair point. But it's all But the good thing about social audio is that you hear people's voices and you can tell when somebody's just talking too. That's the good thing too as well. So.
Do y'all think that what's been happening, with the left, do y'all think, like the silencing and all of that, do y'all think that Democrats will be petty and do the same thing when they are in leadership?
I hope so. Me too. I hope we grow some balls and be like, all right, it's find out season,
I'm sorry, I missed the question. Ouch.
Oh, I said with all the attacks and everything that the left has been doing. I'm sorry, the right has been doing. Do you think think Democrats will step into that petty bag and do the same thing to them, or you think they're going to do this whole we're better than that and we're here for the people in the country and we're not like them? Do you think that they will be petty?
I think they're going to be smarter. I think I say my tag phrase is don't be baited, be better. And when I say be better, I don't mean don't fight, I'm not saying be on some punk shit. I'm not saying that. But obviously, they are grossly ineffective at combating the onslaught of what the MAGA has put on them. Like, they just was totally caught off guard. We don't know how it was possible, but I think that they're mounting an effort. I'm gonna give them, I'm thinking people are going to move smarter going forward. Let's hope so.
I think with Gavin Newsom speaking out, I think we will be a little bit more aggressive. It's going to take another person or two to kind of really make it to a movement. Yeah, with Gavin, I think I understand that a little bit. Look, I agree. The Democratic Party, I think, is always going to want to uphold the right ideals because, quite frankly, that is to a certain level, it's brought some people to the tent to some degree. But at the same time, if Gavin has proven with the whole thing with the redistricting, it's to a point now where they're going to be forced to kind of hit back. It's kind of we've passed that Rocky lost to Clubber Lang episode of the for the Democrats, and now we're in the we gotta get ready for the fight at some level because otherwise we don't win the title back if we don't start swinging.
I was going to say, they're counting on us not doing it, right? What California is doing is not a surprise. It's literally what Texas did. And they know that we could do it. I think some of them are like, oh shoot, they're actually going to do something to fight back, and then the nerve of them to say they're going to take California to court is hysterical, right? To do the exact same thing that Texas did.
I just want to say, somebody put in the chat that we don't want another Biden. Be clear, Mr. Biden at the time was the best candidate. He was a placeholder. Like, he was the only person at that time that could possibly win against Mr. Trump. He was a placeholder, and for some reason, Democrats went to sleep after that. Like, how could you not know that this was coming? How could you not plan accordingly? Like, and it's a lesson that I'm sure they've learned, because I knew when he got elected that he was a placeholder, and we took a sigh of relief because we were outside of that toxicity of the presidency, but they fell asleep at the wheel. How the fuck could you not know that he was a placeholder? So we don't have anybody else in the party that we knew. Nobody had a voice. Nobody established themselves. They just literally went to sleep. Meanwhile, Mr. Trump and the MAGA movement have been hard at work. Shit, but they've been working, and the Democrats were sleeping and being nice and being cordial and taking on causes that they shouldn't have been taking off. Instead of digging down, planning, strategizing, they fell asleep at the fucking wheel. So to the person that wrote, we don't want another Biden, yeah, that moment right there. I agree with you. We don't want another Biden.
Well,
there's no disrespect to him.
I don't.
Yeah.
I would love another Biden, because while he was asleep, he certainly got a lot of shit done. So this has been the most progressive president we've had in history, maybe besides FDR. So I'd rather have Joe Biden asleep any fucking day of the year than this foolishness. So I don't know what y'all talking about, him being asleep. That man was served as a longtime senator. He had a lot of experience. He was a fucking vice president. And yeah, he pulled out. He's an older guy and everything like that, but he will be known in history as one of the most progressive presidents. So, if y'all don't like the Democrats, or if y'all don't like Biden personally, that's fine. That's okay. But he got a lot of shit done, okay? During tough times when we were struggling with COVID.
Yeah, I would also add, I think the other thing to keep in mind is there's two things here with Trump a little bit. First of all, there was money thrown towards him throughout these 4 years. He just, he kept trying to, he was campaigning when he was in that first term. It's an argument for, and I agree with you, Robert, there's work behind it. But at the same time, there's money that was being thrown by Elon Musk, by other folks. And this is and Trump is also unconstitutional. So he's not playing by any rules whatsoever. So it's one of those things where I don't want to see I want to see a Democratic Party organized, but I also don't want to go too far and beat itself up over somebody who, and I think Pete, I can never pronounce his last name, but Pete said it best. This is a president, Trump is the president, whether Republican or Democratic, we've never seen someone so unconstitutional, so much into grift, that he's, and so much with enablers that he's brought in. Plus also, to the black vote, for about, the black males who voted for Trump, he's enabled a set of people that really are, they're trying to be opportunists at some level. And I think that that's a lot. So I would say for the Democratic Party, definitely get organized, but make sure that you beat yourself. If you're going to beat yourself up over something, make sure it's for the right thing and the right reasons, not just this is very, very unusual. But it still has to be fought against. And I think for Democrats, we can make that fight. I just think it's a matter of really, again, thinking next level about who is going to be the party leaders and who can lead us into this, or at least out of this crap, basically. There's an opportunity here. But yeah, they will hit back. Like I said, they will have to hit back, because that's right now, that's all that you got to do. I'll land there.
One of the ways that I think we still underestimate is, Gavin Newsom wanted to balance what Texas did, right? Instead of going full on and getting as many districts as possible. because like they should have known that other states can redistrict also, right? That's gonna happen. And so instead of just balancing Texas, they should have been like, all right, it's California, right? We got the most, we could pull the most districts out of it as much as possible. Yeah, they shouldn't have been shocked that the other states are gonna, start doing the same thing.
I don't know if they've been shocked. I think it's just come to a head. I think definitely with Texas has got that spotlight because of the with the Democrats walking out. I think it's brought a spotlight to the whole thing. I mean, this has been going on for a while. This whole thing about redistricting. But I think with the state Democrats leaving the state, it seemed a little futile for some folks. But I think part of that was the point of it was to bring attention to that, what's going on. I think it's we woke up a lot of people in other states about how much redistricting is on the ballot right now. I think that's a big part of the problem too for us as a nation. We are a lot of the things that we're debating about.
Common also is the reason which commands us what to do and what not to do. If this is so, there is a common law also. If this is so, we are fellow citizens. If this is so, we are members of some political community. If this is so, the world is in a manner a state. For of what other common political community will anyone say that the whole human race are members? From thence, from this common political community comes also our very intellectual faculty and reasoning faculty and our capacity for law. Or whence do they come? For as my earthly part is a portion given to me from certain earth, and that which is watery from another element, and that which is hot and fiery from some peculiar source. For nothing comes out of that which is nothing, as nothing also returns to non-existence. And so also the intellectual part comes from some source. Death is such as generation is, a mystery of nature, composition out of the same elements, and the decomposition into the same, and altogether not a thing of which any man should be ashamed. For it is not contrary to the nature of a reasonable animal, and not contrary to the reason of our constitution. It is natural that these things should be done by such persons. It is a matter of necessity, and if a man will not allow the fig tree to have juice, by all means bear this in mind, that within a very short time both thou and he will be dead, and soon not even your names will be left behind. Take away thy opinion, and then there is take away the complaint. I have been harmed. Take away the complaint. I have been harmed, and the harm is taken away. That which does not make a man worse than he was, also does not make his life worse, nor does it harm him either from without or from within. The nature of that which is universally useful has been compelled to do this. Consider that everything which happens justly, and if thou observest carefully, thou wilt find it to be so. Do not say only with respect to the continuity of the series of things, but with respect to what is just, and as if it were done by one who assigns to each thing its value. Observe then as thou hast begun, and whatever thou doest, do it in conjunction with this, the being good, and in the sense of which a man is properly understood to be good. Keep to this in every action. Do not have such an opinion of things as he has who does thee wrong, such as he wishes thee to have, but look at them as they are in truth. Man should always have these two rules in readiness. The one, to do only whatever the reason of the ruling and legislating faculty may suggest for the use of men.
And I think and we saw a lot of angry people.
Stupid ass scenario occurred, or any stupid ass scenario you can like contrive. Thank you. Have a nice.
I just want to say something. No, other than the one you predicted. Because I asked. Hold on. Everybody done jumped off the mic. Anyway, I was trying to talk to you earlier, Ashley, because I was trying to tell you that arguing with concrete is like yourself, because he's going to use the Merriam-Webster definition of consent. He's not going to talk about legal definitions of consent or things about, that's not going to work, because he's just going to say consent, it just means that the person agreed. It doesn't matter if they agreed under duress, it doesn't matter if they agreed because they're about to drown, as in Necro's example. All that matters is that they agree, right? So it doesn't, like, the point will not go further than that. So I think we can just like move past, because they're just going to agree that, well, you consented, even though I don't understand how that works. Because I just don't believe I don't think humans are property. So I just don't.
It's a fun brain exercise.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I'm saying I agree with
avoid arguing with concrete, because you have to think of other ways to come at his arguments. Because that's why I do enjoy arguing with concrete.
I'm not saying you can't
and
enjoy it. I was just going to say, like, he's not using the same working definition, right? When we're talking about consent and power dynamics, we're usually talking about, like, the Fry's model, since he wants to bring up Me Too around consent, but he's not using that definition around, like, there. And to the power imbalance thing, it's not that all things have to be equal, right? It's just that we have agreed in society.
To get there, Nick.
I can't even get
the opportunity to get there.
Wait, can I just quickly say something?
I'm so
I agree with you. He's not gonna understand. I agree with you.
Hold on.
All right. I'm back. I'm sorry. Every time I try to leave you guys alone to have a conversation by yourselves, it doesn't work out. So, Neek was not. I understand. Someone had a question for Neek, but let Neek land, please. Let her land. After she's done, then guess what? The next person could go, but let her land.
Final point to the idea of like all things don't have to be equal, but I do think that we as a society have agreed to, like, not maybe we collectively agreed, but there are rules in place as to when non-consent does occur. And that's usually like between prisoners and COs, between students and teachers, between children and adults, because we realize that there is a limit to how far we're allowing a difference to occur. And that's where the non-consent, like, because we've agreed that can't be consensual, period, even if there's an agreement. Go ahead, Ashley.
So I just want to say I agree with you, Annie. Sorry for interrupting you, but she's absolutely right. With a guy like him, we can push the legal definitions and everything, and this guy just saying consent. That's when I asked him, okay, when he was bringing up, like, trying to compare me to children and stuff, and I said to him, okay, do you think it's perfectly fine if a 12-year-old says she consents to having an adult with a 30-year-old man? Do you agree? And he refused to answer. Then Nero asked him a similar question. He refused to answer. And him refusing to answer, we already know his mindset then. In a perfect world, he probably wishes that it goes this way, consent is done, people can do whatever. Because he doesn't want to answer, he just wants to say his point. And it's actually like, I don't know how to explain it, to be honest. It's actually mind-boggling.
Yes, but I'm just saying, I don't need training wheels. Like, I want to make my own arguments, and then I'm not allowed to, because everybody else tries to put training wheels on me.
No, I'm putting training wheels.
Making my own arguments.
I wasn't putting training wheels.
I want to try it, and he said, you know, we can go back and forth, you know? That's all I wanted, was a back and forth to be able to fully flesh out my point, and I can't do that when I have people interrupting every 2 seconds.
She likes, like...
Yeah. I mean, just in general, though, it's like
but she like white people. Like she don't take nigga criticisms, you know, even if they're like constructive.
Yeah.
I enjoy the argument. That's all I'm saying. I enjoy the argument. I enjoy the back and forth. I enjoy the back and forth.
I mean, like that is the thing with you guys.
Guys. So I just
No. Let me just say real quick.
I hardly ever interject on the stage. Like I was quiet most of the day. I hadn't hardly said a doggone word, and then I finally, when I finally said, hey, I have a minute, I do want to go back and forth with Concrete on this. It is a fun back and forth. It is a good way to like exercise the brain.
But you don't like. I was disagreeing with you. You're being defensive.
That's it.
Yes.
Or are women of any other ethnicity?
I do. Yeah. So, Concrete was like, he said essentially, I mean, by his own logic, he would have to, I mean, logically say that there's nothing wrong with, his daughter consenting to be my sex slave for the rest of her life. I mean, because we both consented in the scenario, where basically she had agreed, even if she was desperate after, when she was drowning. And so that's sort of Concrete thing actually moral. And so if he thinks that that's moral, then that's fine. I don't see how he is, anyone can consider him a moral person.
Yeah, so, Neek, I don't you thought Necro was
That's a good question.
I just said to his example.
One second, ma'am. I had to listen to you. Besmirch my excellent point by employing a degenerate fucking brain dead white dude. That hurt my heart. Anyway, it's basically if I were to tell you that cars are not inherently immoral, and you're like, what if somebody took that car and rammed down a whole bunch of 12-year-olds? Would you say cars aren't immoral then because the car rammed down the 12-year-olds? That's what he did. It doesn't, invalidate. Stop, Dottie. Stop, Dottie. It doesn't invalidate the argument that cars slavery simplicator is not immoral. Is it here? I'll just clarify. Could it be used in an immoral way? And already granted this. Yes. Is it inherently immoral? No.
Who drives the car? So you're talking about putting moral standards? You're talking about putting moral standards to like objects that aren't human. That's why that just doesn't make sense.
Immorality is wickedness. If you're doing wicked shit, wicked behavior, you're immorality. Wicked.
Slavery is
because like who's driving the car?
Slavery is fucking wicked, homie. If I can group up a bunch of rascals and make a building fire homes, I think that's pretty fucking wicked.
So
I would actually.
So according to Concrete, essentially, he thinks that essentially that people have the right to be able to go, and if they have the right to own a car, that's the equivalent of being allowed to go and kill somebody down the street with a car. To like Concrete, like, do you not realize you're arguing that people should have the right to, like, what my scenario where your daughter could agree to be my sex slave? Like, you're arguing that should be a right?
Concrete, my argument would always be that a power imbalance and is always immoral. Like, you cannot consent in that way. So, I mean, it kind of just, it disproves your entire thing that it
What
can
about
be
employer-employee, Ashley?
That's different than agreeing to be somebody's slave for 7 years or however long.
You use the word always.
So it's at will. It's at will, Samoa. It's at any time I could walk off my job and say I quit, and there's nothing they can really do about it, right?
It depends.
They could fire me at any point.
I mean, it depends. I see the point.
The problem is you won't be able to put food on the table if that happens, so you can't make that decision.
But you could still quit and go to a different job. Like, if you trade your freedom, you do not have that option. So I can't just say, oh, I don't like you as my boss. So, I know I agree with it.
Be your slave. Hold on. Somebody says I can be your slave for 3 days for $1 million. Is that person consenting? Yes or no?
So.
Not if there's a power imbalance.
I mean,
$1 million shows you the power imbalance. Yes or no?
Bro, a fucking nigga wasn't busy. Why y'all try to question dumbass little girls and shit on stage like I ain't on here, bro? A fucking slave ain't being a slave.
You don't want the smoke. Just shut the hell up.
Nigga, suck my dick, nigga.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, I I mean, Samoa, I just would like to ask you this. We had a law that, if a policeman beats up a black man, but if he gets up after 3 days, is something that would be acceptable.
Black niggas get out for doing dumb shit all the time, though. I ain't gonna lie, bro. They be letting them niggas right out. I'm a product of.
Yeah, what was your question again, Necro?
Yeah, like if we had it where like some policemen, beat up, if a policeman beats up a black man, trying to restrain him, but if he gets up after 3 days, he gets off a day or two, is that moral?
I don't even know what that means.
That's
well, you're saying.
What the hell does that mean, bro?
Hold on a second. So you're defending the idea that a person engaging in a contract where they can lose their freedom and their employer can actually use force to be able to get them to incentivize to do work.
Work with the hypothetical that I offered. A person is going to give up their freedom for 3 days for $1 million.
So what if I refuse,
work with that?
What if I refuse to do work for you when in the contract?
Well, then you wouldn't take the $1 million, right?
No, you'll have to kill
But the reason,
the
reason why you would, hold on.
That's not,
the
that's
reason,
not
bro, come on. The reason why you would take the, listen, the reason
That's
why
not
you would take the $1 million, you are giving up your freedoms. That means they can do anything that they want with you, and you're going to agree to this.
Sam,
then what would you call it?
It's not slavery if I have to pay my property.
If you can do what?
If I have to pay my property, that's not slavery.
What an idiot. It's not your property
It's not.
yet.
Slavery.
Hold on. You're acquiring the property with the $1 million for 3 days. Now it's your property. But the reason of the consent was because the incentive that's being offered for the $1 million. The slave is going to be the slave categorically for $1 million. That's the disparity, right?
What are you talking about real slavery? No slave work for $1 million. Let's get back on real subject. Real topic. No slave work for $1 million is disrespectful to my American heritage, bro.
I just want to clarify.
Hold on, why the need to stop?
I just want to
Hold on.
Hold on, I just want to
Let me talk. Those motherfuckers were properties. Now are not. They didn't live in properties. They were.
Tupac. No, let Frank cook. Let Frank cook. Hold on.
Yeah. You were properties. You were.
Come on, man. What is this? ESL segment? The ESL? Like, what is this, bro?
It's crazy. Not the dreamer. All
right. I responded to Ashley because Ashley says whenever there's a power disparity, it is always immoral. That's what she said. Okay?
No, I was talking
Right, because you couldn't handle the hypothetical and the way that it was framed, bro. Right?
Essentially, what you're counting is to
have a big house.
Frank.
Frank whipping your ass, man. What you do about it? Frank is whipping your ass.
What is happening?
You were property.
Bro, Frank, look at that French elbow. He just hit you with a French elbow, bro.
That was really terribly good.
I've been trying to respond. So basically, Samoa, what you're talking about is where people are getting paid.
Oh my God, Jinx, let me borrow that code.
Working for 3 days. They're not.
No, not working. No, not working.
They're okay. So they're for 3 days. They don't have their freedom, but they get $1 million. But that's slavery.
Yep.
$1 million. You're a slave.
Hold on, wait. Hold on.
You realize
so before you're a slave, you are not in bondage. Now you're a slave, you are in bondage. So for this 3 days, you are in bondage. Voluntarily a slave. You can voluntarily be a slave. Yes, that's absolutely right. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Bro, the issue is how hard the Africans would have worked for that $1 million. This is a whole argument. This is a whole.
Hey, take it easy.
So you're going to argue that essentially athletes, that NBA players who make ridiculous salary, who sell themselves into...
Why is Necro running away from the hypothetical? Stop running.
You didn't get hypothetical.
You're saying...
Necro, bring that out here. Bring that out here, Necro.
Hold on a second. Hold on, Necro. Hold on. Necro, hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. What someone said... Hello? It's not absurd. What someone just described indentured servitude. It's a contractual agreement. For 3 days, you get $1 million, and the person gets to treat you like a slave. Yeah, we've done that in history before. It's called indentured servitude, and that is not slavery. Slavery, there's a
no, wait, hold on, no, hold on.
Thank you, Matt. Hold on a second.
The smartest African on
Matt, why'd you intervene, bro?
No, I did not intervene. No, I'm just describing what you
so
just...
what do you call this?
Asked them. It's not slavery. It's called indentured servitude. It's
hold
a
on.
contractual
Nigga, that's a job. $1 million to work for 3 days is a fucking job, bro. $1 million to work for 3 days? We all take that. I'm cleaning cow shit. I'm scrubbing master shoe.
Exactly. So I agree with
so the comment,
I agree.
Just relax. What Ash?
Alright, so every time I try, you guys are not able to do it. I'm back. Hello, my name is Knowledge. I am going to attempt to allow Samoa and only Samoa to speak. Samoa, please attempt to speak without anybody interrupting you.
Thank you very much, kind sir. Thank you very much. Yes, the point or the statement that was made was whenever there is the presence of a power disparity, it is always immoral, it being a slavery. I gave a hypothetical, right, where a person is going to be a slave for 72 hours. Start the clock, $1 million will be transferred at the end of the 72-hour period. Okay? So within the 72-hour period, this person is a slave. Now, please, is this person, address the hypothetical, please. Address it, please.
Okay,
yeah, so
I can address it. I was going next, okay? So I can address it, because what you're referring to, right? So I want to ask you, like, are you a capitalist? Are you, like, I don't know. But anyways, right?
I don't want to be mean. Ashley.
Just what you
So
said.
after I was saying, wait, I'm not done.
Let me not.
No, I'm not done. I just wanted to finish my point.
Answer the
No, I didn't interrupt you. Just let me say.
Instead of question.
I want to answer.
Question. Don't ask any question. Just entertain.
Okay, I'm gonna say no, and I'm gonna elaborate, okay? The reason why it's so different, so when Cannon spoke up, said, yo, you're disrespecting my history, he's absolutely completely right. Because, like, what you guys are doing is comparing I would call it modern day capitalism, where people argue about employment to historical slavery, and it's just not the same thing. Because why it's different? Because at least you're getting paid, and you're doing it because you're getting paid, so it's more voluntary compared to modern, like, historical slavery, where you're being forced to do the labor, and you're not getting paid.
You got that? Don't forget
about getting separated from your parents. Don't forget about getting murdered. Many white folks don't understand.
Hold on. Cannon, hold on. Someone, it's okay. She either doesn't understand or can't answer. Neko, would you like to entertain someone's question? Would you like to entertain or answer someone's question?
Yeah, I mean, to me,
go ahead.
It's like...
Keep it short, please, because we require a short answer.
I promise I will. It will take less than 20 seconds. So yeah, I find it absolutely absurd that the idea that people, simply have 72 hours where they, have to work for somebody and that, they get $1 million, that's in any way slavery.
Oh, Cannon, what say you?
Okay, thank you. So they can consent, right, Necro?
Yeah.
I think Ashley wanted
to
respond to the question.
So I'd like to respond. So obviously Ashley is wrong. The idea that whenever there's a power dynamic, it's slavery, it's nonsense. You don't have the same power as your boss. So obviously it's not slavery, right? Secondly, if you enter into a contract where you agree to do something for payment, remember, you agreed. Even if there's a power dynamic, it's still not slavery. In slavery, there's an involuntary part of it. The person doesn't agree to be a slave. The person is taken into slavery against their will. That is a very key component of the definition of slavery. Necessarily. Now, the people who enter the contract, we had a very specific name for that. It is called indentured servitude, which means you enter into a contract to do work or labor because you owe a debt or you are being paid for your labor.
No, Matt. So I understand what you're just saying. Let's say the person is.
The opposite of slavery. The opposite of slavery is freedom. Not slavery. Freedom. If you trade your own freedom, it doesn't mean that you are not a slave.
Somebody gets
the opposite of slavery is not slavery. Like, what do you got?
That was just a weird Marxist. I think that agency is a spectrum, right? You can start off with zero agency, which would be slavery, so zero freedom. As an indentured servant, you have the agency to actually negotiate and initiate a contract. Right. And that's where the agency comes. Now, terms of the contract can be similar to slavery, but you had the agency and freedom to negotiate. Not a good thing.
But you guys are actually addressing it.
Full agency.
You guys are letting Matt.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you guys are letting Matt like pigeonhole like this whole hypothetical. The hypothetical doesn't have to be a 1-to-1 ratio. It can be a person that has a wife. Like, you guys ever seen that movie, like Indecent Proposal? Like, where dude had to give his wife up for like $1 million whatever because they were feeling the economic strife of debt and things. So the woman, let's just say your wife, right, owes a debt for $1 million, and the offer that's being made is you will get $1 million if you are enslaved for 72 hours. Now they're not buying you, right? They're just taking the debt of somebody else that's foreign to you. What is the difference between a person handing another person $1 million to hand you over? You gotta add the third variable. The third variable is it's not a direct transaction between two parties. It's you doing the slavery act for the somebody else's debt.
But
you're a fucking slave then, bro. Y'all can keep missing the words.
Have the agency to negotiate the terms of what's happening in
No.
It's be a slave.
Real freedom.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, guys. We appreciate it.
Real freedom is when you don't have limited
consent, agency, and ability to like leave, right? Which fits into.
I mean, but you can always dump your wife, though, right?
Yes, you can. But if
there you go.
If I don't have a choice and they take me and then they put me into slavery or work for 3 days.
Oh, you're pigeoning back to your definition. Yeah, so remember, you can dump your wife, so you always have consent. Yeah, so you can always consent at this point. Regardless if
I'm married. Some people lawyers died before they came a slave, homie. You over here giving them like one option, bro. My great granddad died before he came a slave, homie.
Hold on a second. Listen, Kenan, I don't know who you are, bro. But in this room, we have conversation. We have conversation about a whole bunch of shit. If you're not man enough or mature enough to handle the conversation,
buddy, I'm sorry about. I'm sorry about my tone of voice, bro.
Thank you for the apology. I need you to stay off your mic while other people speak. Then, when it's your turn to speak, knowledge said you can say whatever the hell you want to say, according to knowledge, okay? So, with your turn.
Can I chime in?
No.
Who hurt you?
Who's next, bro? I'm getting in trouble. No fucking reason.
No, go ahead.
No, you're not. You've been disruptive ever since I came over here.
That was a joke. Ocean, Yo, yes, that was a joke. Ocean, that was a joke.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, so freedom, real freedom is when you can actually not be limited by a certain set of paths. So if you have like three choices, and these three choices is that whether you sign this contract or that other contract or the third contract, you will not have well-being. So this is in a way limiting you, right? So if you have many choices of paths, and you can actually choose not to choose one of them or choose one of them, this is real freedom. But if you are limited and your possible paths toward well-being will not happen unless you trade your freedom to another person, this is slavery. This is modern slavery.
Can I interact with Samoa's hypothetical?
Yeah, Ashley, after Kanan. He hasn't had a chance to speak.
Can I go after Ashley?
Like, I know I come off so disrespectful, bro. But as a black American that grew up in these fucking United States, and I got me an attempted murder charge, and I'm in college, I done did a lot of shit from stop being a black American I be, bro. I got Who muted me, bro? Like I said, at the end of the day, Violet over here talking about, oh, can't you been disrespectful? Bro, you ain't even been here. I've been in here since 4 o'clock last night. You feel me? So, like,
why
at the
are
end
you
of the day,
addressing
bro,
me? What are you
because
addressing
you
me
came out of nowhere
for?
talking to me, and I look at your profile, you're Puerto Rican and fucking...
I was not even talking to you. I wasn't even talking to you.
It don't matter. If you're not on the stage,
Shut
and you black...
up, you fucking
Yo,
boy.
I'm not, I don't care.
My
I don't
God,
care.
you think,
I don't
fuck,
care.
I gotta
care.
shut the fuck up. No one cares. No one
No,
cares.
Hagab, he's a disruption. That's
I agree.
period.
That's why I gave him space to speak so he could show himself, right?
Well,
now he got belt to ass from you, so it's good. All right, who's next? I think it was Ashley.
Please.
Okay, if I can make my argument without having 50 other people coming off. Okay, so Samoa, I need to ask some parameters around your hypothetical. After 24 hours, see, this is what happens.
Are they still stumped on the slavery issue or no?
Yeah,
I'll
talking
my
about
hypothetical, and then when he gets back, we'll revisit. My questions are, after 24 hours, does the person have the ability to say, I want to forego the $1 million and, I want to walk away? I need to know that parameter.
I just want to answer.
Actually,
I asked to go next, please.
Yeah, Dottie did. Dottie, you'll go after. No,
No, go ahead, let her go.
Oh, thank you. I know Cannon was like getting emotional to bring him back up because I actually kind of agree with him because he's African American, and for this point only, not only, but so when we talk about modern day slavery, like what people are saying is like, well, we're in modern day slavery, so why not go to the historical slavery since the slavery here is still bad, even though back then it was worse, right? So, like, let's go back all the way to the 90s with the records labels for rappers, which was modern day slavery, like Tupac. They're signed to labors. They had no choice to do anything, right? There's a reason why you see like Black Americans, they celebrate Kanye West and all these other rappers for getting the patents for their own music, right? The royalties, basically, because the funds all go into him. And I think the first person that spoke to it, the reason why everyone loves Michael Jackson, because he said at the music awards, this is going wrong, this is what they're doing, and he was referencing the 90s because it was an ongoing thing. But now you're seeing like most musicians branch off of that type of modern day slavery that happened in the 90s, right? So it's not like anyone's like saying like, I guess my whole point is just like, yeah, modern day slavery is bad, and that's why you're seeing more people get out of it and be more entrepreneurship and have the profits go to themselves and getting out of that like grip hold of corporation. So like, I just don't get what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Okay. No. I as someone who has studied the subject, the use of the term modern day slavery is disrespectful to former slaves who have went through tremendous hardship. When you enter a contract, you are not a slave. You voluntarily enter that contract. Okay?
I didn't use it. I was just saying his words.
Once again, what we call slave, these people were taken against their will, put into bondage against their will to do labor or whatever the duty was against their will. They could not say no, right? They could run away, but they could not say no, right? They could not say, oh no, I need a raise, I need better this, I need better that. There was no negotiation. That does not exist today, but in a few places, and those people are still, whatever they are slaves. Working for money, just because you don't like your job, just because you don't like the condition of your job, doesn't mean you are a slave. You voluntarily enter into a contract to do a work. That is not slavery. That is you being stupid. That is you being stupid and accepting low wages because you refuse to do
no, wait, Matt, I have a question.
I just want to say to Matt, I agree with you. I know, like, I would never, If you were listening,
can I go off the Dulcie?
if you listen to, he literally was directing at me.
Yes, I understand. But people
And you let
have been
people
trying to go.
Yeah.
People have been trying to
Sorry,
go.
can I go off the Dulcie?
Like less than a minute.
Yes, it's El Nathan. If El Nathan wants you to engage, he can say that. But it's El Nathan's turn.
It's fine. She can engage if you want to. Let her engage.
But I was just gonna say, I wasn't agreeing with the guy. When I say modern day slavery, because that's what he was talking about. I don't agree. I agree with you completely. That is different. But he's trying to use capitalism structure to like justify why we should go back to slavery. So that's what. Because, like, you know, there's the ideology about capitalism being modern day slavery.
No, I was not.
I used that term.
No, I was not trying to justify, like, all days. I'm saying that all of them are wrong.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with historical slavery? For you to say,
Sugar Belly.
You're literally just talking about capitalism and how much it sucks. That's really all you're doing.
No, the thing is, like, when you are in a police station and then they demand you, if you don't know the laws, don't speak, because take a lawyer, for example. People can agree with things, but they don't have the full knowledge about the consequences of this decision. Signing a contract or whatever, like, they will not know how much of their freedom they are going to trade. Right?
Yeah, but you can't say it's historical slavery. And I use your own language, right?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Stop interrupting.
No, because he's trying to use like modern day like contract stuff, and that's like Matt was like trying to correct me, saying, "Well, that's basically that's capitalism."
No, look, Matt made a bad argument.
Question from
Hold on, Sugar Belly.
That's why I said, why do you think most people are trying to get patents because of bad contracts? That's what I'm saying.
Hold on. So Matt is trying to say that the only form of slavery that exists is if somebody is taken against their will. We all understand that that's not the case, right? There are other forms of slavery where somebody volunteers to, devote themselves to the thing. You could think of like a monk where they themselves have, taken on this particular role for whatever spiritual reasons. Look, maybe we need to put a definition of slavery on the table. And if you take the definition and you make it only somebody taken against their will, then okay, you win, right? That's not the definition that.
Yeah, so like that's kind of what my question is about.
Sugar Belly, please.
Yeah, freedom because
internally. So with Samoa, please.
Sorry, is there a queue?
I just
don't want to.
No, there's no queue. But there should be some decorum. Where there's no over talking. There should be some decorum.
No, I'm not trying to over talk you. I just want to know who I can go after.
You might not doing it intended, but it just so happens that you are.
Just let me know who I can go after so I can shut up.
There was a queue, right? So we're gonna have El Nathan speak, and then we're gonna have Sugar Belly speak, and then Concrete you can jump.
Wow.
They've been waiting for a minute.
Sugar Belly just got
here. Go ahead. Concrete, can you add me to the end?
Somebody just said hi, Sugar Belly.
Did you hear me? Hey, can you confirm you heard me, Hagop? Because they're going to be our guests.
No, I saw.
Can you add me to the end? Can you add me to the end,
okay,
please?
You'll go after Concrete.
Hello, Sugar Belly. How you doing? Go ahead, El Nathan is on you.
Sorry for interrupting you.
It's all good, Sugar Belly.
All right, can you hear me?
You're good.
Yes. Okay.
Yes,
good.
baby, we can hear you.
Maybe tell us, Sugar Belly. All right, go ahead.
No, so I think as Concrete was trying to say earlier, sort of definition would help the conversation, like defining what the term we refer to is, right? So if you say, what is slavery? Then if we have a definition, then it's easier to argue whether or not a thing qualifies as that which we have all agreed on, right? But if looking at sort of the basic definition, it's about not just what we feel, but also legally, so like de jure and de facto property. So property in law and property in practice, right? And so the latter is more difficult to assess because people have different definitions. For example, with sex, right? Some feminist scholars would say all sex work is some kind of slave. Others would say would disagree, right? And so, if you look at the laws, for example, there are legal definitions of the term. Like there is, from the 20s before the United Nations, there was the League of Nations, 1926, and they said they defined it in sort of the League of Nations Slavery Convention. If you move forward to sort of other academics definitions, there's sociologists, for example, like Patterson, who define it in very strict terms, like the permanent violent domination of another person where there's alienation and dishonor. So each of these terms in turn need definition. So I think that the conversation would benefit with, first, can we agree on a basic definition of the terms? Now, from that definition, I think it would be easier for all of us to argue the point. It's like arguing from different definitions of the term slavery. Are we limiting, and this was where I think moderators will come in great. If we can say, to make this conversation better, can we at least agree on the basic minimum for the definition of what this term means? And then we can begin to argue whether or not certain hypotheticals fit the definition or not. I don't know if Mr. wants to add that.
All right, cool. I'm so glad you said that because when Matt was saying like what he was saying, that was kind of when I sort of like perked up. When he said calling like it modern day slavery is insulting to like people that went through actual slavery, and then kind of gave the example of taking somebody against their will forcibly and so on and so forth. And the reason why is because what constitutes a slave is not really about how the person got into the state of slavery. It's about the conditions under which the person is and like whether or not those conditions qualify for slavery. So by definition, a slave is a person who is forced to work or obey another person, or forced to be excessively dependent upon or be controlled by another person, and then in some systems may be considered the property of another person, right? This is what a slave is by definition. So it has nothing to do with how the person became a slave. And I just wanted to point out, because like you're trying to make this distinction, the truth of the matter is that like the only reason why modern day slavery tends to involve people, signing work contracts that are actually, really bad and so on and so forth is because, by dint of modernization, certain actions that used to be quite common in the past, that used to be quite easy to perform in the past, have become quite difficult. And one of those actions is taking people forcibly against their will. So in most countries in the world right now, if you attempted to seize people by force in order to enslave them, that would trigger some sort of police response or trigger some sort of governmental response, like almost immediately, which means that like it's quite impractical for enslaving people. And so that's the reason why in modern day slavery, the primary means of enslaving people is disguised as legitimate work, right? But my point is that I completely disagree with what you said, Matt, because the vehicle by which somebody enters into a state of slavery is irrelevant. What is relevant is whether or not the state that they're in qualifies as slavery or it doesn't qualify as slavery. And, in a lot of these like modern day slavery situations, the state does qualify as slavery. The person is not able to voluntarily stop the work. The person has somebody that they have to obey, otherwise there will be, serious consequences, danger to their physical well-being, danger to their life or whatever it is. The person is not able to leave the situation, the person is not able to stop or get out of the situation, and they are forced to be excessively dependent upon, or, in some cases they are even owned or considered the property of the people that, are enslaving them. And that checks all the boxes for slavery. So it is slavery. Like I just don't understand this business of like, oh, it's an insult to the other people who did real slavery. The people who did slavery in the past, it was slavery. The people who are doing slavery in 2025, it is also slavery. The only difference is the vehicle by which they got into the slavery, but it's still the same thing.
I think
Great
you and I
point,
agree
Sugar.
that is.
Hold on, no,
I
it's
think
my
you
turn.
and I agree that is. You and I agree, and that is the same definition that I provided. I would even say yes, there are slaves today. For instance, the people that I don't know, they give their passport and then you gotta get it when you get there, and then you get into passport. Yeah, that would be slavery too. So my definition is applicable to today, and this is why I reject the term modern day slavery. Normally, and socialists, whenever they use that term modern day slavery, they imply that people that enter legal contractual work to be slavery because they lack some independence while they're working or whatever the issue may be. People say because they get a low wage for the work that they do, it is slavery. And I say, no, it's not. If you consciously enter into a contract and the contract is being obeyed by both parties, it is not slavery, no matter how unfair it is toward you or you feel that the contract is unfair toward you. You voluntarily entered into a contract.
No, hold on.
We got a problem.
Concrete, just one line.
The term indentured servitude exists for a reason.
I just want to be sure, like, where we're kind of getting where it's crossed, right? The test of whether or not this is slavery is not about you entered it. The test is the day you decide you want to up, the day you decide you want to leave, the day you decide you don't want to do more, are you free to stop, leave, and go away? It's the test.
Right. I agree with you.
Come on, man. Hold on. Let's do a definition.
Leave room for that.
What's your definition? I want to hear a definition.
The common Oxford definition of slavery, of slave. That's the definition.
What is it?
Who works? A person who is forced to work or obey another and is considered to be their property.
All right, great. So the force to work, why would that be a necessary component?
Because it's against your will. Because it's against.
So then you're just defining it.
Making.
Look, so I just take it that even if we were to use your definition of against your will, I could still find an argument why that wouldn't be immoral inherently. And we all understand. I'm about to. We could easily understand how taking somebody who was an invader to your country, and we would just consider that maybe a prisoner of war, where you would take that prisoner of war and put him into slavery. Where now, as a form of their punishment for invading your country, they now have to work and they are owned by the state. What's wrong with that? It's against their will. It's against their will.
It's still slavery.
Yeah, it is slavery. What's wrong with that?
You have a justification. No, that is you're providing a justification for this.
Yes, that's what makes it not immoral. That's what makes it not immoral.
No, it is still immoral. Forcing someone to work against their will is still
okay, great. So punishing. So now what you've made immoral is punishing criminals. You've made punishing criminals immoral.
Yeah, but the punishment is not slavery.
The punishment is slavery in this case.
Why is the punishment slavery?
Because that's what we decided as a state. Yes.
Therefore, it's immoral. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you've invalidated. You can keep baby and throw. You want to try to throw out the bathwater and keep the baby. No, you got to get rid of all of it. Why? Because the baby's inside the bathwater. If you cannot punish criminals, then your whole society just collapses now. And since we don't want to collapse our society, we'll punish criminals, and then this is the way that we'll punish them. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Wait, I just want to be sure of something. So, like, is Matt's argument against...
I'm waiting.
Wait, is Matt's argument basically that, we shouldn't punish criminals with slavery, but we can with other things?
Capital punishment, right? You can kill them. You can keep them in solitary confinement. You can make them fucking being 20 years walking yard and being subjected to all manners of evil. But slavery, oh no, too much.
I mean, I'm not against punishing certain types of criminals with slavery, but I don't think it should be a general punishment.
Of course you would.
That's a separate issue. It's a separate issue.
Yeah, so the thing that is self-imposed slavery, which is by consenting, is considered to be, for me, like, it is self-harming. And I don't agree with self-harming.
What do you mean
like agreeing,
Describe that.
Agreeing to be a slave
is like you are being consenting to be a slave is basically self-harming. And I treat it the same way as suicide. You are trading your own freedom, you are signing something, and then you agree to trade your own freedom because sometimes it is because of frustration, anxiety of the future, limitation of chances, and there is no equal, opportunities for all, that you find yourself in much less opportunities to be free than your person that you are signing a contract with. Slavery, I understand slavery. I defined it as the opposite of freedom. A free person is not a slave, and a slave is not a free person. And it begins internally. If someone is not internally free, he is going to self-harm himself. He is going to trade his own freedom to others, signing contracts or whatever for their own goal. That is slavery, even though it is self-imposed, right? So it basically a slave, you can understand things by their opposites. I can know what hot is that it is not cold, and cold is the absence of heat. Slavery is the absence of freedom. And a free person is the opposite of what slave is.
What? All this time, I thought slavery meant more freedom. It means no freedom? Oh, no. Thank you for...
Yes, prison is not a slave.
Can we make space for Ashley? She's been trying to talk for a minute.
Go ahead, Ashley.
As long as you brush your teeth.
Oh, I was just asking where we were in the queue.
Do I have to promise?
There you go. In your hypothetical, does the person have the ability to forego the $1 million and walk away after the agreement?
Wait, nobody told me this hypothetical.
Samoa.
Tell her the hypothetical. Tell her the hypothetical.
The hypothetical is, Samoa's hypothetical is that somebody gives you $1 million, but you have to be their slave for 72 hours, was it? It was like 3 days.
Can I just ask one question about this hypothetical?
I'm trying to find out myself.
But I don't think my question is very simple. Is the somebody male or female?
That would be a Samoa question.
Listen, let's just give us the response to
okay,
either.
Okay,
only
cool.
two, right?
So here's my answer. If the somebody is female, yes, I will be their slave for 72 hours. If the somebody is male, hell no, keep your $1 million.
Oh, she's probably imagining.
It was about Concrete's original. It was about Concrete's original about whether or not it can be moral. You cut me off. It was
no,
my
I didn't. I just responded to Sugar Belly. Samoa's not here. Stop being entitled. Anyway, the whites are out of control today. I'm not gonna lie, you guys. Anyway,
why are you being racist to her for no reason?
Well,
you should have been here, Sugar Belly. She gets the joke. The whites have been on a rampage today. We've been talking about just so you. Hold on, Sugar Belly.
Charlie Kirk. Punch you.
We've been on the rampage since Charlie Kirk died.
I know, Sugar Belly. Ashley and I have a rapport where she understands the joke.
Yes,
and
I get it. I get it.
Arguing.
I get it.
Thank you. I'm glad you realized that. Anyway, Sugar Belly, how have you been? Are you still in the market? What are your thoughts on the economy?
Look, my answer to the hypothetical is very simple. The thing is that if you agree to be a woman's slave for 72 hours, okay, fine. She might ask you to do all sorts of weird stuff or whatever, but you're probably going to be fine. The problem with agreeing to be a man's slave for 72 hours is that it's guaranteed to get sexual. Guaranteed.
Yes, I know you're imagining Diddy.
Thank you.
Yes, I know you're imagining Diddy.
So, Sugar Belly, hold on. So if you enter into a contract for 3 days for $1 million, that makes you a slave?
I mean, so the contract agreement is basically for 72 hours, this person can direct anything, and you're not allowed to say no. No matter the situation, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you, no matter if it's a day life, you're not allowed to say no. By definition of being a slave, right? Those are the conditions. The conditions are that for 72 hours, even if this ends in your own death, you are not allowed to say no.
No, obviously you cannot be killed. Obviously you cannot be killed.
Yeah, I mean, or you would hope.
Why do we have the term? Why do we have the term indentured servitude? If everything is a slave.
Okay, Max, so here's the difference, right? The difference between indentured servitude in terms of like the experience of it versus slavery is that indentured servitude has limits to like what the person can do. By definition, if you are somebody's slave, especially if it's the chattel type of slavery where by definition you are somebody's property, that person can end your life and nothing will happen. Like that is the full range of power that like being the owner of a slave gives you. But you can't just kill your indentured servants without consequences. Like
in this hypothetical, you dying is not part of it either.
Matt,
It's just $1 million for 3 days. This is why there's a 3-day clause. Obviously, you cannot be killed.
Matt, let me just say something. Sugar Belly, I think that this is a stupid point because I agree with the general point, but you realize that even in slavery, there used to be laws about how slavery could be conducted. So it is not, you don't need to, like, so even in places where there was slavery, you couldn't just like kill your slave, right? There used to be laws yeah. So I just wanted to add that to say, like, just because a person is a slave,
So here's the thing. On the face of it,
the person doesn't need to be able to do anything with you in an unlimited way. Often within that institution, there will also be rules. So in every sort of, for example, if you think of Muslim slave, was different, right? So for example, you couldn't enslave another Muslim. Or if your Muslim slave converted to Islam, you needed to extend them certain rights, right? But it didn't change the fact that that was slavery. In fact, there were, hence the different types of slavery, right? So you don't need to be able to do an unlimited amount of things to a person for it to be slavery. That's just what I'm saying.
So I'm not saying that like you have to be able to do that for it to be slavery. What I'm saying is that by definition, slavery is inclusive of that. Do you get? So what I mean is like you have all around the world different cultures, different histories, different ways that like they did their own slavery. But my point is that by definition, slavery is inclusive of all the systems where you can just kill your slave like without questions from anybody. And historically there were such systems. Like within a system, maybe it didn't apply to every single category of slave, but the point is that historically there were systems where, within the population of slaves, you also had sub categorizations of slaves that you could kill them or whatever, and like nobody cared. Really good example, we're from a country where human sacrifice used to be endemic, right? Everybody who got sacrificed was a type of slave. Nobody had an issue with like sacrificing these people.
Yes. I just wanted to add that new dynamic. I just wanted to add to say for the base level of slavery, you don't need to have that unlimited.
I get it.
But yes, of course, I agree.
Another example is like slavery in Imperial China, for instance, right? On the surface, were you meant to be going around killing slave nilly? No, you weren't meant to be doing that. But a lot of the royal family, like, for very little things, somebody would break a jade teapot and that person would lose their life. Or somebody would have a miscarriage or like have a stillbirth, and they would kill off all the people that assisted with the birth, that kind of thing. And there was no consequence because these are the masters and like these people are the slaves. So my point is not that you have to kill people for it to be slave, but my point is that slavery by definition is inclusive of systems where you're allowed to kill the person with no consequence. It doesn't mean it's going to apply to everybody, but like it includes that. And I say all this stuff to say that I don't want to be a man's slave, okay? Because if you're a man's slave for 72 hours, it's going to end up with like his dick in your bum or his dick in your something, okay? I can be a woman in 2 hours. I am not going to agree. I'm not going to agree to be a man's slave all the time.
Really, what you added the stipulation that there would be no Diddy-esque encounters, and there would be third-party supervision, which had the authority to shoot to kill in case any Diddy-esque.
You underestimate how creative men are.
Oh, nah. See, look.
In their pursuit of perversion.
then that's not
manipulation.
What is condition?
You can manipulate someone to enslave them.
This is what I mean by the watering slavery. Like, none of this condition you guys are attaching is making it more slavery. It's actually making it less slavery. You know, just like we have OSHA, that's making sure you don't abuse your construction worker and provide them with a safe environment. Yeah, in slavery, there's no such thing.
Yeah,
in the past, in Arabia,
down of the term slavery.
Yeah, in the past in Arabia,
I have to agree with Matt, like, on this point.
Yeah, in the past in Arabia, the people who will enslave people. So in Arabia in the past, for the people to actually enslave other people, what they need to do is to control food, to control water, and to take control of these things, so these people will not have any other choice but to go to these people. So manipulation can be a factor on enforcing people to be slaves to a certain person, right?
Yeah, true. So I mean, I didn't want to say this before, but so part of the work I do, right, is like slavery studies, which is focused on slavery.
Wait, Nathan, you have to tell us your answer to the hypothetical. Whether or not you'd agree to be a woman's slave or a man's slave.
I wouldn't agree to be anybody's slave. Doesn't matter who, like man or woman. I wouldn't agree to be anybody's slave. That's just my general answer.
For $1 million?
I mean,
it's only 72 hours, though.
No, but then that comes back to the question of, is it slavery if I willingly give consent to do stuff to myself for 3 days? This then becomes a question. So that's a different question, because then I would dispute. You know, I would say perhaps that is not slavery if you're giving me $1 million. You know, so but I wanted to just add that, like, so there is slavery studies, right? And slavery scholars, for example, have talked about these questions that we're actually talking about. So it had actually like been debated. You know, there are all these philosophical and theoretical distinctions between free labor and slavery, even from as early as, so for example, if you think of John Locke, right, in the 17th century, John Locke was one of the people, for example, who defined slavery. And he, for example, in his 1690 book, the famous Second Treatise of Government, defined it in legal terms, and it entered into the distinctions between labor and slavery, where he was saying that, slavery is the state of absolute arbitrary power of one man over another, right? Very simple definition. Arbitrary, absolute power of one man over another, right? And in John Locke's definition, for example, and I'm sorry to be boring with the sort of technical slavery scholars, but like his distinction between servitude and contractual labor was three-pronged, right? He said, you know, a person can sell their labor but cannot sell their person, right? So it is possible to sell a service but not sell themselves, and that if they sell themselves, regardless of whether there was consent to the selling, it is slavery, because a person is unable to sell themselves, right? The second prong is that the only time, and this is according to John Locke, who's one of the earliest, if you think of slavery studies, right? He said that slavery is only legitimate as a punishment in a just war. So which brings me back to the sort of examples you were giving about people being enslaved after a war, right? And for John Locke, slavery is that's the only time slavery is legitimate, where there is punishment and there is a just war, and the war has ended. You know, otherwise, in the view of John Locke, if there is a continued state of war, so for example, Ukraine, Russia, whatever happens between Ukraine and Russia, those prisoners of war, the consequence of that coercion is illegitimate in the view of of John Locke, right? But of course, 200 years later, there was Adam Smith, right, who, in discussing political economy, for him, he saw slavery as sort of economically inefficient, morally wrong, and for him it was also three-pronged, in how labor sort of defined itself. And, you know, you can go to Karl Marx, you can go to Patterson in the 20th century, you can go to Weatherman in modern times, Deborah Hellman, and then the feminist debates, for example, where the radical feminists, for example, radical feminists like McKinnon think that prostitution, for example, is inherently that you cannot call it anything other than sexual slavery, right? Because of the foundational gender inequality that undermines anything like choice. So they are the ones who came up with the term, we do not believe in choice feminism. You cannot choose to enslave yourself to a man, right? But then there are the sex worker advocates, you know, for example, who say sex work is labor, and that calling it calling it slavery undermines agency. Then again, there are feminists who say that some types of sex work are slavery, some types are not. Trafficking, for example, forced prostitution, that kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to stop here to say that whatever we're discussing now, there's been at least 400 years of debate, and it might be good as we're debating to sort of like look these things up and see what, you know, slavery scholars have debated. Whatever we're saying, there's nothing here we're saying is new. We can talk about what we agree on, or I agree with Locke, or I agree with this, or I have a completely different opinion. But, you know, there are definite definitions, there are parts where philosophers differ. It's you know, we can decide to be on either side of the argument. Sorry for boring you with the technical.
May I speak next, or is there a queue?
Hi, go for it. Hey, so pardon my ignorance. Let me turn my, okay. So I was asking in the chat, El Nathan, what type of career do you make with a slavery degree? I mean, what it, walk me through it. Maybe I'm ignorant to it.
It's not a degree. It's I am in the research of slavery studies. So, for example,
that's your master's. You doing your master's or no?
No, I actually teach.
Oh, okay.
So, but I also have books around this that I'm working on, essays and so on, like academic work around, but particularly slavery in northern Nigeria. This is my specific area. Slavery in northern Nigeria pre-colonial times. You know, what is now northern Nigeria? So Hausa land, the Kanuri Empire, all of the sort of smaller kingdoms around what is now called northern Nigeria.
If you know, it's conversation.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. We can. I'm good. We can move on to someone else. I don't, because you did just kind of give it a nice submission. So yeah.
So I wanted to say that, and I'm not like, I didn't do slavery studies in school, but I will say though that I think that somewhere or something in which like it actually does really important work is getting people to realize that certain systems that they see in the world that they don't realize are strange, or they don't realize like are problematic, are actually slavery systems. Like a really good example of this is like Chokosi in Benin Republic, or Money Wife in like southeastern Nigeria in like Cross River and Akwa Ibom. They have this thing called Money Wife, right? And in Benin Republic they have this thing called Chokosi. These are both two types of slavery that are kind of staring you in the face, but you don't necessarily realize it's slavery. So like Money Wife is like when you have somebody, usually a man, because men are like the root of all evil, usually a man, and this man owes somebody else money. It can be any amount of money, but let's just say he owes somebody a lot of money. And for some reason, he can't pay the money back. So instead of him selling himself into slavery, which is exactly what I think he should do to pay back his money, what he does is that he takes maybe his niece or like some other little girl in his family without telling anybody, and then goes and gives that girl to the person that he's owing the money, right, to be that person's money wife. And so that girl is then forced to live with the person that he's owing the money, usually another man, and, you know, provide sexual services or whatever it is, and free labor, like whatever it is, for X number of years until the debt is considered paid off, right? Chokosi in Benin Republic is kind of like a variant of this, But the difference is that I think they don't give the child or the girl to the person that they owe the money. They give her to some sort of temple or shrine or something to kind of work the debt off in some way, shape, or form. But the point is that, like, you literally have people that had nothing to do with the debt getting enslaved in order to expunge the, or rather absolve the person who's owing the money from, like, their obligation. It's slavery, but a lot of people don't, like, you know.
Yeah, I was just sitting here listening. I mean, I'm sure there's some form of something here in the United States, but we try not to focus on that slavery thing because it was such a problematic situation for us here. So you have to understand, I don't want to hear nothing about slavery, but when you guys brought it up, I'm like, what the hell? But at any rate, I can dig it. It's somewhere.
I don't understand. Like, what is going on? Were we the ones who brought this up? Like,
no, I don't know who brought up this.
Yeah.
It was Andrew.
I'm seeing somebody writing in the chat.
It was Andrew.
The room and blah blah blah. Like, this is not my topic. I didn't bring it up.
It was Andrew.
Why am I now being blamed for the topic that other people were discussing? Like,
no, you just rebel demons. You just rebel demons. That's it.
But I just wanted to add, in response to the last speaker who talked about the sort of sensitivity of African Americans to the subject. I often like to remind Americans that whereas, you know, they might have been talking about slavery from a long time ago, there are people who are still slaves now. I mean,
I'm okay
Libya,
with
for
that.
example.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I can dig it. You don't have to say that. We know there's slaves over there on another continent. I can dig it.
Yeah, so yeah,
that's fine.
You can dig it, but we can't mention it on Clubhouse.
Yeah, like I'm sorry. So Miss,
nobody said that,
I have to be honest.
You did. No, I was listening to the audience for a while.
Yeah, okay, so I have to be honest. Like I kind of feel like this conversation took a weird turn.
It did. That's why I'm very disgusted with it, because it started with Andrew, who's not even here anymore. That's what I'm saying. And people are coming up saying things like, this is what if you think you're a slave, you're going to be. So I'm like, where the hell did this come from? It was Andrew. Andrew said something about he doesn't see anything wrong with slavery. It's something about he would have them sleep in a big house, all that foolishness. So no, I don't. When you came in, it took a wrong turn, Sugar Belly. So that's why we're here. And I'm like, what the hell? Thank you. Yeah, this is interesting, Frank.
It was actually a hypothetical by Concrete.
Yeah, I think
or like a morals discussion. It was a morals discussion. Like, could it ever be? Are there any situations where it could be moral?
You see, there's nothing wrong with having conversation, especially about slavery, right? Those things persist for so long because we refuse to talk about it. We refuse to face it head on. And I know you're in the Baltimore area, so I'll recommend you to go to the African American Museum.
I know exactly where to go.
Right, go in the basement, soak it up.
I know.
Right, go in the basement,
I've been
soak
here
it up.
over 4 decades on this.
I hear you. I hear you.
I know about it.
Go. I will also say, you know, with that nice American passport, go to Guadeloupe, go to the Memorial Act.
Yes.
It is probably one of the best slavery museums in the world.
Don't want to do that.
It will change your life. It will change your life, and you'll have a different perspective.
Don't want nothing to do with that.
We need to teach the children about the past so that we don't repeat it in the future.
But all of it.
So we need to have the conversation. It's uncomfortable, but those conversations are needed.
You know, when I first started like studying this whole thing, right, in the country that I lived in, I was reading this. One of the first papers I sort of stumbled onto was a paper by a very well-known scholar in northern Nigerian history called Paul Lovejoy. And the first paragraph of the paper was that as early as the 1980s, there were people who were openly either talked about, sold, or engaged with as slaves in northern Nigeria in the 1980s. Like, so for me, of course, I knew about slavery just from other things, but I didn't realize how close it was to me, you know, that in the part of the country where I live in, there are people still being considered slaves. And of course, like, it's very, for us, like, you know, like, I remember walking into the palace of an emir, and I'd done some project, blah, 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 and he had invited me to blah, blah, this big palace with sort of this absolutely sprawling, like, living room. You walk in, you're dizzy just by the size of the room. And he's so far in the distance that you can barely see him, and you have to maintain a certain distance on the red carpet, whatever. But his what I would describe as slaves told me, and they asked me where I was from, and I'm from part of the state that used to be a place where they used to hunt for slaves. And what he told me was, oh, you used to be our slaves. Like, this was said to me in my own country as an adult, you know? So the whole idea of slavery is very present and relevant in the minds of many of us. You know, you might say, oh, we were slaves 400 years ago, or blah, blah, blah. For many of us, they call us slaves now, today, 2025.
Yeah, but
you still identify as a slave?
No, that's not what he said. What he said is that he went to an emir's palace. If you don't know what an emir is like a kind of king, and basically they were just having a casual conversation, and he happened to mention where he was from, and the emir was like, "Oh yeah, you guys used to be our slaves." Like he just said it like super casually, like, you know, like, because he used to have slaves, he used to own slaves, or at least his family used to own slaves, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like you guys used to be our slaves." Like he didn't realize like there was something wrong with what he was saying. Like it was super casual for him. That's what he's trying to say.
Well, yeah, the Arab people invented slavery.
That's not correct, but anyway. But
I think it is true. If you look it up, you can look it up.
But Nathan, I'm kind of not even surprised because don't the Dantatas, don't they get their name from like I think it's their great grandmother's slave? That's what they get their name from. So.
Oh yeah, like Northern Nigerian slavery is like so. Like,
yeah, it was very endemic.
It's responsible for so much of what is happening today. Like, you can trace it and you know, the British left us in 1960, but also the British only came in 1900. So imagine that, like, full-blown proper slavery, and the British didn't really end slavery.
Wait, hold on, I have a question.
The open markets.
What do you mean when you say in the chat?
Exactly what I said. You just said that y'all had slavery in Africa. That's what y'all do in Nigeria. Don't get mad at me.
No, sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you just repeat that, please?
I said Sugar said Nigeria has parts of Nigeria has slavery, and said exactly what I said. That's what they have over there, and you do.
Yeah, but you said
you
said see, this is their culture.
It is. Don't get mad at me, sweetie. It is what it is.
I'm not mad at you. I was just asking.
We just having a conversation, right?
Yeah, yes, we are having a conversation, and I'm not mad at you. I was just asking you to like expatiate what you were saying. Yeah, but anyway, I think the slavery conversation is pretty interesting because there's plenty of slavery systems all over the world in 2025 still that need to be ended.
I'm a slave for you.
Very funny. I actually really like that Britney Spears song. Oh, Concrete, you're back.
On this argument is almost like it's like if you see a bunch of people fall into a hole, and you see there's no way out of that hole, why would you then volunteer to like also jump in the hole? I don't get it.
What do you mean? The argument part of it ended, I think, a while ago.
Yeah, I know. That's why we're doing the after show, the after party. So we're talking about how Matt saw all these people fall into this hole where they couldn't argue, that slavery is inherently immoral. And then he, after all of them jumped in the hole, he decided to also jump in, and I don't understand it.
When did I jump in?
Because you think it's inherently immoral.
I don't think that's what's really up for debate. Like, I don't think that's the issue.
That was the original debate.
No, I get that. I get how you guys got here.
My issue was always the strict definition of slave. I do not like the watering down of the word slave. I don't like all this multi-definition that diminish what real slave, if I dare say, went through.
Yeah, so you already
I don't think sex work is slave. Sugar Belly.
No, sex work absolutely is slavery.
Yeah,
no,
I don't think
slavery. So. And it's slavery because it meets those criteria, which is that you're forced to work, right? You can't stop. You're forced to obey. You can't get out of it without severe consequences to your life and safety. Like by those conditions, that is slavery. It doesn't matter like what people think about it. The point is that it meets the criteria.
So I guess Mac could say that there is.
No, it doesn't. Hold on, real quick. No, it doesn't. The young woman who goes on a newspaper or online and put an ad and receiving client in her own apartment in the comfort of her own home, that is sex work and that is not slavery. You're doing that thing where you're trying to pick the type of sex work that you think, is based in freedom, and that you're trying to use that to extend it to like the whole sex work umbrella.
So all we have to do.
Can I suggest something?
Let me finish. You guys can tell me. I know. Let me just say my thing. Then you guys can tell me like what you think is wrong. Okay. So if we take all the sex workers in the world, all of them, including the ones that stand on the streets, the ones in the brothels, the ones on OnlyFans, who are selling their farts for $1,000 in a bottle, if we take all of them, right, and then we look at, okay, how many of these people meet like what's criteria? The vast majority of the sex workers are coerced. The vast majority of the sex workers are doing it against their will. The vast majority of the sex workers face serious consequences if they attempt to stop doing it, or they face serious danger if they attempt to stop doing it. They're not able to stop doing it freely because they have somebody they have to obey, they have somebody they have to give the money, and so on and so forth. This is the typical sex workers situation. Now, at the fringes, the outlier typers are the glamorous ones. The ones that you see on OnlyFans, their middle class bedroom or their upper middle class bedroom. All they have to do is take off their clothes on a camera. There's no dirty man coming to stick anything inside any parts of their body. Or the ones that, they dress up really nicely. They go to meet those billionaires in Monaco or whatever. And I've noticed that a lot of people, when they want to talk about like sex workers, they talk about those glamorous ones, and then they act as if the reality of the glamorous one, not the truth. So for majority of these, you can cite on mute.
Like Sugar Belly, you don't have to use 75 words to repeat yourself and make a fallacious argument. Yes, that means hurry up. Take the social cue. Hurry up. Hurry up.
Did you?
Hurry up.
Did you have something?
Hurry up. You cut me off to make this horrible argument. Hurry up. I'm tired of being cordial with you. Hurry up.
Did you have something?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes, social cue. Get it.
If you didn't unmute your mic to
Look, I let you cut me off, but now I'm tired of it. So hurry up.
So I'm sorry, but like it's really not realistic. Like the experience of the sex worker is like, yes, it's slavery.
All right, so Sugar Belly is engaged in, because she was speaking for so long and so erroneous in her logic, and she knew it. So I won't. God loves me. Anyway, she was so erroneous in her argument that I had time to come up with the fallacy that she was committing, and we were at the fallacy of composition, which she admittedly employed, right? All right, so here's the fallacy of composition. This is when you incorrectly assume that a characteristic true of the individual parts must also be true of the whole. So yes, there are individual parts. We'll just split the baby or split the sex worker. There's individual parts of sex working that are coercive and slavery. Then, as Matt described, there's a aspect or characteristic of sex work that is not. We're done. Thank you. Have a nice day. And all you did was use 75,000 words to make a bad argument. And look, I don't want to put belt to ass, Sugar Belly, but you needed it.
Thank you.
Can I?
So you didn't need to explain what I said in additional words. Sorry, only.
Yeah, we don't need additional word.
Shut up, Concrete.
So, okay, so like, I mean, again, just back to the whole slavery studies thing, right? So it's interesting that even this conversation is not, even among feminists, it's not a simple conversation. There are like serious feminist scholars on both sides of this argument who have said that is not work or that sex work is work. And so, for example, the abolitionists among, people who do feminist studies around sex work, and they see not just prostitution, but prostitution, pornography, those kinds of things as, institutionalized sexual subordination. And that, in fact, the reason why the consent for them is not real consent is because the consent is produced by inequality. And so the line to sexual slavery sort of is thin, right? So we have Catherine McKinnon, for example, Andrea Dworkin, Sheila Jeffries, Melissa Farley. All of these people say that prostitution is inherently exploitative and degrading. And that even though there is a market exchange, that market exchange does not coerce, does not sort of cleanse this kind of position. Now, there are those in the middle row, right, that talk about the limits of market, the limits of coercion, the limits of exploitation. So you think of scholars like Magdalene, Deborah Zatz, that talk about the existence of both proper and noxious markets, right? That some markets are permissible only with strong guardrails. So, for example, rules around sex work, government protect sex workers, blah, blah. Otherwise, they will produce these like harmful power asymmetries, right? Then, of course, there are people who talk about contracts in terms of, say, if you have a sex worker and you have a contract, it can actually mask like domination, and that prostitution can reproduce kind of hurt within patriarchy that it does within sex, right? So it reproduces that kind of patriarchal authority even when there is consent and all that. Now, there are people who say, well, if there are proper rules, then, for example, we can say that some people are not. So there are abolitionists, there are those in the middle, there are those who are radical on the part of sex work being work, and that is, for them, it is tied to the agency of women to be able to deal with sex how they see fit. And so if a woman wants to have sex with 100 men in a day and she has agency to say no, she has agency to stop, she's not bound by contracts that force her to do it, which is the case, as one might argue, with a few so-called OnlyFans models, right, who are able to sell their services as they deem fit on their terms, and it's starting and ending on their terms. So some of those sort of people who are not on the abolitionist sort of side would argue that is not slavery. So for me, I think that there are several ways to argue the point, and I think that all of them have some kind of merit. I'm not particularly tied to either one.
Nathan,
Can I actually reply to that?
Come on, I came off first. Come on, come on, man. Y'all gotta listen. Women are wonderful.
I'm assuming that you're going
women are wonderful.
Speak, and then Ashley will go after you, and I'll go after Ashley. Is that okay?
Women are wonderful creatures. There's nothing against y'all, but you have to be more assertive. Thank you. Anyway, Nathan, I really like your approach, and maybe I want to make sure I'm interpreting it correctly, where you're laying the groundwork on the underlying theory or
thoughts on a topic in order for the listeners and the people, the enemy combatants such as Matt and Sugar Belly, to then come to the right conclusions based on this information that you're providing. Now, I take it that is most useful when you're dealing with people who are operating in good faith and who aren't entrenched and intransigent with regards to their position, and they are willing to humbly consider the underlying frameworks that support these systems, these beliefs, these understandings. But I think after 3 or 4 rounds of somebody holding on to their position with unmovability, even in light of like damaging defeatments, then I think that approach is no longer useful. Even though I think it's commendable to continue to try, but I hear what you're saying. I definitely want to give you your flowers on that. Now, again, I'm going to just reiterate the point because I think it's more effective in my approach, or in tandem with his approach, my approach, which is to say I think El Nathan has clearly laid out the position that it's not one or the other, but both, right? Not both, both. BOFF. And stop arguing against both, because we know that is the more reasonable, logical position. Yes, some sex work is slavery, not all. Not all. Hashtag not all. And Sugar Belly, if you argue against it again, that it's all slavery, then we know that you're just being ideological.
I strongly believe that you have a hearing problem.
One second. All right. Just correct me when we're done. If you're not making that argument, fine.
Could have already been done.
If you're not making that argument, then fine. And Ashley, here you go.
Oh, Nathan, I could make the argument that, because of the social structures and because the stigma that comes with it, once you start any kind of sex work, because of that stigma that comes along with it, you kind of can't get out of it. You kind of can't do anything else. So I see the argument where any type of sex work is a form of sex slavery. Like, even if you start it willingly, because later on, when you go to get another job, we've seen teachers fired and all of that. I'm just trying to engage in the conversation and offer a different.
Actually, please go on, because I honestly,
You can't tell her to go on and interrupt her. You're interrupting her by telling her to go on.
Okay, Tim, was it you that?
No, my plane was landed. That was the only point.
Shut your mouth.
Okay, no problem. I'll go after her. I'll just mute my mic.
Oh, I landed my plane.
Hold on, Tim. Be nice to Sugar Belly.
Okay, so Tim, she's done, and I was after her. Are you not going to mute me, or I don't know? You just being aggressive for no reason?
No, we've been modding good all day, and I come back in, you're already interrupting. But go ahead, you're up next. Stop playing and fucking go.
Oh, you conveniently didn't come in when everybody else was screaming and shouting. It's only my voice that you heard. The whole time when they were shouting at themselves, we never came in to hear that one. Anyway, what was I even saying? Yeah, so Concrete, I think you have a hearing problem, because even my initial statement was based on the fact that sex work is slavery for most of the sex workers, but clearly there's some sex workers who aren't enslaved. So I don't know why you thought that it was in bad faith. But anyway, there's a matter of bad faith, whatever. But actually, yeah. So I think what you're saying is really interesting, and I think I found this to be true as well, that there's this manufactured stigma, against women who have engaged in anything that's considered to be sex work. And the whole point of that stigma is to basically keep them out of polite society and almost to depend on sex work, or to continue depending on sex work. So even if they want to change, or they don't want to do that anymore, they want to stop doing the stigma is to prevent them from accessing normal means of employment, or just normal means of social integration, so that they're forced to be on the fringe and kind of, whether they want or they don't want to, keep having to do the sex work. And then I wanted to say that, like, even in the parts of sex work that people think are kind of free from enslavement, so like OnlyFans, for example, a lot of people see OnlyFans as like a sanitized kind of prostitution or sex work because they feel like you're just in your bedroom with your tripod or whatever it is, right? And and there's nobody there coming to force you to do anything. But OnlyFans has a lot of hidden coercion. So, for instance, I've noticed this trend where a lot of the OnlyFans girls, they have boyfriends who are either photographers or their boyfriends are like the people producing their videos or something like that. And then it ends up being this weird thing where they have to give the guy a cut of what they're making. And like one of the biggest OnlyFans creators, her name is Amaranth. And she's one of the few OnlyFans that was making like millions and millions of dollars, from doing her hands. And Amaranth like basically broke down crying at some point, saying that like her boyfriend was forcing her to do the OnlyFans and that he was taking her money and and she was being bullied and he was taking like her money and stuff. And people were shocked because she was incredibly successful, So even when it doesn't look like there's coercion, there can be coercion there as well. But to what Ashley said, I think something that is incredibly interesting to me personally, right, is how in a lot of the societies where the people will say things like, oh, prostitution makes a woman dirty, or like they'll turn up their noses towards any kind of hint of sex work, right? In a lot of those same societies, if you look at the way they go about their dating and their marriage, and like their normal, quote unquote, normal relationships, a lot of it is basically prostitution, but just sanctioned. So like I hear some men like saying stuff like, oh, after you learn this sex trick, he'll be paying for like your hair and your nails, or he'll be paying for your this or your that, or he'll be paying your bills or whatever. And I'm like, do you not realize that you're describing prostitution? You're basically saying that you're going to learn like advanced sex skills in order to induce a man to start paying some of your bills. It's just roundabout prostitution, like in another weird way.
Someone said prostitution?
They don't see the... Huh? What do you say?
No, it's just a joke. Shit.
Count me in.
Yeah, so I was just like interested in like what Ashley was saying, because like I always thought it was hypocritical. I thought like the women who are basically, they're basically fucking men for money, but the man they're fucking for money is their husband, or the man they're fucking for money is their boyfriend. They'll turn around and be like, oh my god, like, she's dirty because she does whatever it is, OnlyFans, or because, she's like a high-end escort, or she's like a regular prostitute. They're like, oh, she's dirty, but you're also like doing sex for money. Like, what's going on?
Sugar Belly, you buried the lead. So do you agree that not all sex work is slavery?
Concrete, do you have a hearing problem?
No, maybe I have an attention problem. I was like looking at something else. Can you just tell me succinctly?
Concrete, that is what I said from the beginning.
Okay.
That is what I said from the beginning, Concrete.
Sorry, Sugar Belly, sorry. Anyway, how you doing, Sugar Belly? You still in the market? What do you think about that?
What do you want? Do you want to marry me? Like, you asked me this question.
Yo, Sugar Belly.
You have asked this question 4 different times.
Sugar Belly. We talk about stocks in here, crypto. Don't act like this is like some.
Do you want to pay my bride price? Don't act
like this is some flirtation device. You get it? Flirtation device. Anyway,
my bride price is $250K. Is that what you want to do?
Ain't that like 2 bands in America?
No, $250,000, like US dollars. No,
those are crash parties. Sugar Belly.
All right.
Yo, Sugar Belly choosing.
$250K. Imagine buying a habit for $250.
Man, you're out of your mind.
You know what kind of problem you're gonna have?
You're out of your mind.
You know what kind of problem you're gonna have with Sugar Belly?
Can you imagine interest on that pussy?
And on top of that, 50,000 in gold. So 24 carats.
What spot price? What spot
She's talking about the gold chocolate.
How much per ounce?
That's what's...
Yeah, that's got to be
carats minimum. 24 carat.
Anyway, so
She said 24.
Tim, she just blew us out of there. She said she want 24.
Sugar Belly, my price would be the best investment I've ever made in my life. How tall are you again, Sugar Belly?
Sugar Belly.
So I want to know. How tall are you, Sugar Belly?
If that's your plan.
How tall are you?
I'm 6 feet tall.
Oh.
Stop lying.
She's lying.
Okay, you know what? Wait, hang on. So I'm just going to say one thing. El Nathan, I know El Nathan in real life, so ask El Nathan how tall I am.
Nathan, is she being honest?
Wait, I didn't know y'all had.
Yeah, she is tall.
Ooh, she Now, if y'all being irresponsible.
Hey, y'all gotta stop saying
that. You are being irresponsible. You should have been at 1 billion babies. All of them would be NBA players.
Real shit, he ain't lying.
Y'all gotta stop talking to my queen. I don't like the way y'all speaking to my queen. Anyway,
my bad, Concrete. My bad.
We'll move Concrete. We'll move up there.
Thank you. So, do you take anyway? Let's move.
If any of you want to get to Sugar Belly, I'm the official broker. You have to come to me.
No, El Nathan trying to take a cut of my bride price.
Yeah, I need like 8%. I'm not giving them 10, just 8%.
These are Nigerians for real.
See what we gonna do is we get 6 goats.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not accepting goats. Like I'm only accepting cows, like full, unhealthy cows. Like not those.
What the fuck is this? What the fucky? What is that?
She hating. Look at her hating. Oh, she hating. I'm hating.
You should learn how to shut the fuck up.
Look at them.
Fucking incel. You just fucking talk.
Oh, shit.
Like, you know what? If I was a guy, country, I swear to God, if I had a fucking dick, I'll fucking ask to make you my bitch. You're so fucking annoying.
You know what? That's that same guava spirit.
Who is that?
Guava, don't you have that same spirit?
Who is that? That sounds like Guava's little sister.
A new unlocked player.
You're a stem cell, and you're jealous.
See what you done did to me, Sugar Belly?
I meant incel.
Sugar Belly, see what happened now?
And you're just so weird.
Not in the end when you finna get married.
You just talk. Are you married? Nobody could have married your bitch ass. And anyone did, you want to beat her up and rape children because you're fucking weirdo. I feel bad for any woman that married. I'm scared of him, actually. He wants to beat me up. I'm scared. I'm scared of him. I don't have a dick, so you should.
Concrete, don't say anything else. This is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Wait, what's going on? Do you
y'all can go into the back channel.
She just got here. This is her first day here.
You guys can go into private.
Look at Carolyn hating.
To a back channel.
You see what happened now that they know we're finna get married?
Move on from the conversation, because I don't want to hear that.
And we know. I'm being Tally. You're not Tally. You like Tally.
The rest of the ones don't want to hear that.
Where's Tally?
The rest of the ones is not want to hear.
I think she's on TikTok.
Today, new niggas.
Let's just say it's a good thing she did. Thank God.
We don't want to hear about a gorilla climbing a tree. Can we move on?
And he still motherfucking D.
She also said you're weird.
Sugar Belly, but I'm 6 feet tall too. What are your thoughts?
That's fine.
We don't want to hear
I'm in the house.
Yeah.
Sorry.
By the way, Concrete, I appreciate you wiring me that 100K last week.
No problem, buddy.
Concrete, I appreciate that 4K.
Yeah. No problem, fellas.
This height thing, right?
And that order for that king size blanket for $2,000, that really helped me out.
That has surprised me. Like, I will say, like, something that I really found very surprising is how obsessed American women are with men's height. I found it incredibly surprising. Like, they talk about men being tall so much, and I don't understand the obsession, because a lot of American women are very short. They're like 5'5" or something like that. They're quite short. So I don't understand. Like, why
not too much on short people?
It's an obsession with their family.
Yeah, I mean, so I think what I'm trying to say, like,
Except for King. King wants
it makes sense for like tall people to date other tall, and for short people to date their fellow short people. But the people, in fact, the shorter they are, the more obsessed they are with tall men.
And that's a fact.
It confuses me so much.
Well, that's because tallness
I mean, my
represents.
phone is 6'1", so yeah.
Tallness represents masculinity, and it also represents dominance. So when you're tall and you are, and that is more masculine. That's why when we see tall women, they think they trainees. But
yeah, I've heard
they
that.
gotta check
I've heard this kind of idea from Americans as well. So like that's like the flip side of it, right? So I've seen Americans calling tall women masculine, and that also confused me as well, because I don't know, height has never figured into masculinity for me, and I don't. It's not a very big deal like in Nigeria, but in America, height apparently is a very big deal. So I was like, people are, I'm even seeing like men going to get surgery to break their legs and like make their legs longer to look taller.
Yeah, that's just the internet, baby girl. That ain't everywhere.
Sugar Belly, there is finally something we agree on. I dated one tall guy. My entire dating career, which was very short. I dated one tall guy. Every time we went out, I thought he. I'm only 5'4".
Dating career? Did you say dating career?
Yeah, dating career.
I got married young.
I love it.
I got married young. Okay. But I dated one guy that was over 6 feet, and I always felt like he was taking me on a walk. I was like, I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
You though, right?
No, my husband's only 5'10".
Yeah, so like,
that's
nice. Like height.
Yeah, see, that's me, bro. I'm like 5'10", bro.
For me, like the only preference I have when it comes to height is just.
The point is actually the guy that you married is taller than you, not that he's over 6 foot.
Yeah, but he's not that much taller.
Yeah, but she's
like,
she's
I mean,
short.
if it's too much of a height difference, it's like, dude, how do I even kiss this dude?
Exactly.
Do I get a step ladder?
Jeez, your nigga ain't in the league. He's 6'5".
I mean, so for example, like my dad is 6'3",
He can't dunk, though.
right? My dad is 6'3".
Yeah, he's 6'5". And Tim,
my mom
shut
is
up.
5'8".
You're so annoying.
Your mom is 5'8". Me?
Yeah, my mom is 5'8", my dad is 6'3", and I'm 6 feet. So I'm kind of like in between them. I'm taller than my mom, but I'm shorter than my dad.
Interesting.
But with the whole height thing, I feel like the only limitation I have on height is just practicality, as Ashley said. If you're gonna get a neck problem trying to kiss this person in either direction, then it doesn't make any sense. But if the guy is the same height as me, that's fine. If he's slightly shorter than me, that's fine. If he's slightly taller than me, that's fine.
To be fair,
I don't understand it.
To be fair, Sugar Belly, with Nigerians, the average Nigerian man is a confident man, right? There are other things that make up for not having maybe the ideal physical stats.
Yeah, it's quite common to see Nigerian men short, and their wives are towering above them, and that's like very normal.
Look, King of Sugar Belly, the shorter the Nigerian man, the bigger ego.
The more he likes tall women.
Yeah, the shorter the Nigerian man, the bigger his ego. Like, you see a short Nigerian man, be afraid.
Sugar Belly, do you resemble Yemi Alade?
Do I? Sorry, what are you saying?
Do you resemble Yemi?
No, I don't.
Oh.
Ask him if
What about Tiwa Savage?
Resembles.
What about Tiwa Savage?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know.
Sugar Belly, ask Concrete if he resembles Cedric the Entertainer.
Concrete, do you resemble Cedric the Entertainer?
No, I'm taller than him.
Okay, so and Carolyn, what like features are you trying to like compare?
Oh, I was just trying to be shady because we're getting married.
I'm not.
No, me and you, Sugar Belly. She's mad that we're getting married.
Wait, excuse me. Wait, 1 second. How are we getting married? Did I accept bride price from you? Quiet your mouth. Did you give me any gold?
It's on
you
the
haven't
way.
given
It's
me
on
any
the way.
gold, and you're telling me we're getting married. Concrete, go on Mene right now and buy me something. Go on,
girl. Listen, you can have him.
He's open-minded if you got an open wallet.
Crazy. You can have concrete because
I say open wallet, open ass.
Yeah, open wallet, open-minded.
Omicron, y'all are wild, man.
I mean, how
you can see him some food.
How can you be going around
and some
Foo.
Wait,
I need some cornbread.
Number one, I hate fufu and I hate egusi.
What?
But number two, yes. But number two, how can you be going around telling people that we're getting married? You haven't bought me anything from Monet. You haven't bought me anything from Auvert, right? And you have the guts to be telling people that we're getting married. Go on Monet.com or go on
He can buy you a
Starbucks
drink.
And buy
Sugar Belly, you want a hand crocheted. A hand crocheted king size
he gonna
blanket.
get you right this
No,
weekend.
Ashley, Ashley, I don't play that way. So what I want is on Monet now. They have a fishbone necklace. I think it's like 16 to 18 inches of pure 24 karat gold. That's what I want to start.
Man, you're blocking my pocket, Sugar Belly. You're blocking my
Just like
pocket.
the Igbo woman. Just like it.
You're blocking my pockets, okay? I'm trying to get my business going.
Hey, all right, Guam, we're gonna have to make this work, Guam.
Nigga, I never wanted you. I never wanted you.
It's very long. You're going to date an evil woman.
Yo, chill, guys. Don't do that.
He can buy you a Starbucks drink. I'm just saying.
I don't want you.
Look, I don't know why this person want to focus on her.
Before you get.
I don't know why she want to focus on me. I'm talking to Sugar.
Y'all niggas.
Mad, I'm moving on, bro. Like, get your
try to check me.
Get your life together.
No,
don't worry about me.
Get your car together.
Cars.
Wait, is this like a lover spot?
No.
Oh, it's some woman with some weird ass obsession.
around here and pretending to be your man.
With you.
Tell everybody that you're Superman walking around not a
You
Superman.
talk to your Sugar Belly.
Shut the fuck up.
I'll shut the fuck up.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to date an Igbo woman, you need to be ready to spend money. This is very
mentioned and really is an interesting and odd thing to me that it's not being clearly identified is that Charlie Kirk was not being targeted in the Kimmel comments. What happened is that Kimmel opportunistically, or his writers, who knows, I mean, guys, who knows if Kimmel really did the research here, right? Was opportunistically applying what Charlie Kirk did to the Republican/MAGA group. And it was just completely false. I mean, it's like blatantly false. It's actually hilariously false. I mean, this was a guy who was anti-Charlie Kirk, someone clearly conservative, Republican MAGA, and was very pro-Trump, anti-Trump, and anti-conservative movement, and clearly pro-trans is that kind of the focal point. I mean, so whoever, unfortunately for Kimmel, he didn't do his due diligence because I think he's a smarter guy than that. And likely his writer just kind of fucked everyone, essentially, by being lazy and not actually realizing that Charlie Kirk was on the other side of things. Literally what happened. It's unfortunate for everyone because I do think, ultimately, that the government is putting the pressure in the FCC. People don't like this, and you know I'm onto something when that's the case, right? The FCC and the administration clearly put at least indirect pressure in this direction. The Nexstar acquirer of a lot of the assets out of ABC, a big deal for them, also seemingly put pressure on it. And we don't know what backdoor conversations were had. So what happened, it seems, in summary, is that this was a pressured thing. ABC would not want to do this. They had to do it, likely coming from administration pressure on down the chain. Could also be Nexstar's, I don't know, maybe they're owned by Republicans and they just were boiled their blood. And they're like, if we're going to take this guy out, if we're going to do this deal. We don't know all the details, but clearly a pressured move, and also one that is really incited by the political climate in the United States and the MAGA team and the Trump administration having the opportunity here to highlight a blatant, what looks like liberal media propaganda, right? Because unfortunately for, again, Kimmel, it was clearly incorrect to the point of libel, I believe. And he said it anyway, and I think they jumped on it and made a martyr out of him. And I agree with that too. I heard someone else say that it was brilliant. I totally agree. This could be the best thing for Kimmel's career since his career. Like, he could make a killing off of this financially by getting this turmoil on his name and taking the right side of things, or the side of things that are most profitable to him. So sorry, Marshall, I see you want to say something. And I kind of closed there too, so perfect timing.
Awesome. Marshall, do you want to go? Did you kind of work?
I don't know. It kind of sounds like we're saying, well, something shitty happened to Jimmy Kimmel, but there's going to be something real good on the other side of that. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm sure you would agree with me. Government, FCC, those folks getting involved, saying they're going to censor people, probably not the best thing in the world for free viewpoints. Right? If the government's getting involved in viewpoint discrimination, essentially saying there's one right method of behavior, and that's not to mock Charlie Kirk, I worry that verges, to say politely, into government censorship, and I'm not so sure that's the thing we want to do in our country.
Thank you, Marshall. Now, guys, I was walking, so I have Les next in the queue. Is that correct, everybody?
Yes.
All right, Les, my main man. It's your turn, my friend.
Well, I looked at what Jimmy Kimmel said, and he did not say anything bad about the assassinated guy. He merely said that the assassin, he didn't think he left-wing guy, and that this was being used to paint all the left-wing guys, and he thought he might be a right-wing guy. And it's very likely that this joke was written at the time where all that was known was that he had Republican parents, and he was a guy that went hunting with a hunting rifle, and that's not necessarily a left-wing guy. I don't know how much of this him having being insulted by trans, which I think is, and I don't know this person, but I'm assuming that's what motivated this. So I don't see what Kimmel did. He was incorrect, but frankly, 70% of the people on Clubhouse will be not able to speak if they got something wrong about breaking news, because people make assumptions, and which I would never want to see. So and I believe the question is not just free speech, but we don't want to suppress and make people afraid to speak, and to have different viewpoints. And what else is important? One other thing. Also kind of wondering, I would love to see this talked about in the chat if someone's interested. We had experiences like with the Red Scare. And, we were worried about Stalin and stuff, and he was a horrible guy. And we had suppression, especially in Hollywood and stuff, and the TV industry. And what people felt about that. You have the right of association, and on the other hand, you don't want to see talented people not being able to work and all the harm that was done there. And finally, in terms of talent, I think Colbert and Kimmel are very, very talented. And to compare them with Carson was living in an era where there are only 3 choices at most. ABC, the 3 major networks. Now there are 1 million choices, really 1 billion choices, any website, all these streaming services. And to compare their numbers doesn't have to do with their talent. However, it does say that the business model that worked before doesn't work now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Les. As always, great to see you here in other rooms. And let's go from the mighty, mighty Midwest. Meryl, welcome.
Hey, Scott, can you do me a favor?
Yeah, sure.
As you continue to moderate, could you do it in the Trump voice? That'd be great.
We're going to go to Meryl. She's a very nasty woman. Okay, very nasty. She's very nasty. Look, she's like worse than Rosie, if you can believe that. Go ahead, Meryl.
Thank you, Howard. First of all, my son used to work for Disney corporate finance, production finance. I tried to get hold of him all day because I wanted to know what's his take on of Nightline and nighttime and all of that stuff. But he probably was avoiding this conversation, so he didn't call me back. We need to look. I would like to look at what Kimmel said in a broader sense. We're hearing what he said is it's really half of what was actually happening. He said that the MAGA people were hoping that this guy wasn't one of them, the killer wasn't one of them. But you have to remember that the president immediately announced that this fellow was, whoever it was the far left, radical, evil left. The evil left. So he was he was actually kind of making fun of that. Regardless, he also made a mistake because to talk about that at that particular time was like talking about Jesus, because Trump had built this man up. This man, Charlie Kirk, has been built up more in death than he was in life. And it is abhorrent to begin with that he was assassinated. That is abhorrent. There's no question about it. But if you have to take it and consider your president was talking about it. Your president was blaming people, and your president put it in a political climate, put it in a political sense. And that is what Jimmy Kimmel does. I'm not going to worry about his contract because it's apparent they didn't fire him. There is some concern about what's in the contract, what's not in the contract. So they have suspended him indefinitely. So, I've worked on contracts. I know about these things. So I'm not going to be too concerned. They went to their lawyers. The lawyers said, right now, just suspend him. So that's where I sit on that. Should he have been? I think we are not being honest with ourselves if we say that there isn't some political pressure, something from higher up. We're not talking about executives, we're talking about Trump. And regarding deals and people that were going to not carry the show anymore, that also while it's a business decision, it may have been based on a political decision as well. He is somebody who has made political commentary part of his humor, whether you like it or not, don't watch. But I do believe that this is political overtones, and it is about free speech, just free speech about the wrong person. Thank you.
Thank you, Meryl. I don't know if I can do it all in the Trump voice because it takes. I gotta write material.
I prefer no Trump voice.
Yeah. Okay, David. Absolutely. Perfect.
Am I next on your list?
You are next, David. Thank you very much. What do you have to say?
I think we see a trend here. ABC backed down on a lawsuit that they had with Trump that they knew was very winnable. That started a bad precedent. Maybe they had no choice, maybe in their minds, and they did have, this pending business deal coming. Sinclair, I guess, is involved with the newest one. They are basically MAGA. I guess they're a third of the deal. If you watch their stations nationwide, I don't know if I should say this. I'll wait for maybe Gary to come back, but I'm glad for him to use the word gay as in happy and reclaim it. So I found that refreshing. The Trump administration just filed a $15 billion lawsuit against the New York Times. I mean, you can't tell me that there isn't intimidation. I know Abby is in the audience, and I've got it right here. I'm sorry. There's a Supreme Court.
Which decision? I'm on stage.
Oh, good. Number 22842. It was May 30, 2024, the NRA against Maria Vuelo. I'll read the short part here. Sotomayor found that she wrote the majority, government officials cannot attempt to coerce private parties in order to punish or suppress views the government disfavors. So there's that precedent. And Kimmel was blatantly anti-Trump. I think he crossed the line many other times. I like him as a person. I don't think he's funny. Liked him better in some of his previous shows. But we're seeing a trend of suppression here. We know it.
Get to them, so it's paper. We want more dog or pepper or something like that. If you're going to get food, you got to get the black. That's $9. Like $10 left.
I can't hear a word you said.
You guys see he opened up by accident.
And a quarter tank of my car, so
He's talking something. Scott, can you mute Steve?
Hey guys, sorry. Yeah, can you mute yourself, Steve? Sorry about that.
So that's the gist of my thoughts, and I've enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you so much, David. Let's go to Odion Ware. Odion Ware, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. I wanted Gary to be as I'm speaking because what it is happening right now, things I told he and Marshall, but it's not that I was being an alarmist. Again, this is something that I studied in University of Brisbane, Queensland, the fall of democracies. I've spoken about one on the Rwandan genocide and how it started. And what Trump is doing, what the FCC is doing, interfering, cajoling, is what led to these things. I mean, these things have been done. I mean, books, articles, studies have been done on the behavior of authority. Today, Trump said that because he won the election on Air Force One, nobody has a right to mock him, and the FCC is now going to go after TV stations. So, well, Americans voted for Trump. They should be able to live with the consequences. But for me, my job is to come up every day and remind, when things like this happen, and remind Gary, I told you so. Thank you very much. I yield.
Thank you very much, Odion Ware. I appreciate it. And we come now to Linda. Linda, welcome to the stage. What do you have to say to us?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I just want to say, I know it sounds kind of dumb, but, when I was growing up, my dad came to the country in the 80s, and he lived in a totally different country. So he used to watch with my mom, Johnny Carson, and then we, and then went on to Jay Leno and Dave Letterman, that whole thing. But and there was the one guy, I forget what his name was, and he had a big lawsuit with one of them, I forget who I don't know if it was Conan. He made a bunch of money off that lawsuit. I think it was Conan. I don't remember. But anyway, so yeah, I remember this, like Johnny Carson was making jokes about the president one time. My dad freaked out. He's like, oh my God, he can't say those kind of things. He's going to be arrested. He's going to be shot. Their government's going to come after him. He's going to be in trouble. And everyone said, calm down. This is America. People have freedom. We have First Amendment. We have freedom of speech. You can make fun of, you can make jokes. You can make fun of the president. You can make fun of things. And so my dad, he was like, oh, that's right. So yeah, I feel like my dad, his paranoia, I feel like I'm starting to feel that way now. It's like, you can't even have, an opinion. I don't think anything that Jimmy Kimmel said was really that offensive. He didn't make fun of Charlie Kirk. He didn't directly attack Charlie Kirk's family. I don't think anything he said was very that distasteful or inappropriate. I mean, he just said, you know, his opinion and on who the killer and the shooter was and where they were from. I think because Trump has sued various media outlets, he's now suing the New York Times. He's like sue happy. I think that's what ABC is afraid of. I think they're definitely scared of, you know, there could be a lawsuit. I think they're money, and it's what they can do for a money grab. And then I do think that these broadcasting companies, there's political MAGA and various conservatives or whatever, different political views, and I think I think people right now are on a political witch hunt. If you say anything about Charlie Kirk that people don't agree with, they're on like a political witch hunt about it, and it's pretty ridiculous. I read the article by Sinclair Broadcasting, what they're demanding. They're demanding that Jimmy Kimmel issue a formal apology to Charlie Kirk. They're also demanding that he give Charlie Kirk's family money. I mean, it's crazy. This is America. I feel like people should be able to state their opinions. And I'll say this last thing. I mean, things that Charlie Kirk said weren't always, you know, the nicest things about certain groups of people. He said some things that I was like, wow, that's really kind of evil. But I had to sit and listen to it and grin and bear it. And I had the option to change the channel, change YouTube, listen or watch something else. So I just feel like, how could he sit there and he's allowed to say all these things, but then another person wants to make a commentary and they can't? And the last thing I want to say is, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's currently a petition going on. It's a growing petition to punish South Park because they made an episode about Charlie Kirk before he died. And South Park already pulled the episode from their reruns. Comedy Central has pulled the episode out of their reruns, but the episode aired like August 6th. This was before he died. He watched the episode himself and said it was funny, because I watched that commentary Charlie Kirk made. And it's still streaming on the Paramount Plus platform, but there's nothing South Park I don't think can really do about that, or either could Comedy Central if it's still streaming on a platform. That would be up to Paramount Plus to remove it. But yeah, there's people that want South Park canceled. I just think people are going way too far with this, and I definitely think Trump's influence is just going way too far. People should be able to have an opinion. This is America, and they're just, it's kind of like a fascist dictatorship, and that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. I really appreciate your contribution. And let's go to Ben. Ben, welcome to the stage. How are you? What do you have to say?
Hey, real quick, Scott, did I make it back in enough time? I thought Gary was leaving. I didn't want to lose my spot. I thought he actually closed the room.
Yeah, you're good. You're good, Chris. We'll put you in the queue. All right. Because you were here before. No problem, buddy. Go ahead, Ben.
So if anything, the person, whatever Kimmel said, the person that should be offended should not really be the Kirk's family, but rather Trump himself. I think that whole, if you watch the video, the whole context of this so-called offending speech, I think he was calling Trump's reaction or response when reporters were asking him, how do you feel, after, this Kirk happened, he was shot. And then he just drifted into saying, oh, I'm doing good. We're building this wonderful ballroom, blah, 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 blah. It's a great chandelier. I think Kimmel was really ridiculing mostly the response by Trump, being seemingly a bit of a cavalier and drifting away from the topic that he was asked, basically his response and his emotions after Charlie Kirk was murdered. So I think that was the gist of it. And if I look at the actual words of what maybe the FCC Brandon Carr was referring to, that he said something offensive to Kirk, he or his family, or disrespect, he was basically saying, I'm reading this really short paragraph. We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. So if this were in the court of law, and one side was arguing that he was denigrating Kirk, or saying that the alleged murder was one of the MAGA gang, this could be a really interpretation, because honestly, if you were to really accuse Kimmel of smearing the MAGA gang, if you will. I think he's not really saying that this alleged shooter is a MAGA, but rather he's saying that the MAGA crowd is trying to push this person away from their crowd, if you will. I think that's what he's accusing, if you will. So there's very little in my mind that the FCC should find this as disrespectful of Kirk's family or insightful or anything to that. So anything basically in the public interest that Brad and Carr mentioned. So I think there's a very, very weak argument to say that the FCC needs to step in if the stations, the networks don't do anything about Kimmel because Kimmel had said something drastically evil that would hurt the public interest. The thing that I wanted to, a lot of people have mentioned a lot of good points. I think the First Amendment angle, I still think it's important because we really do believe, not even for comedians, even from newscasters, they have a large, fairly higher threshold of being held as against the law for things that they say, because we do want to set a relatively high, the high bar rather, or at least give them leeway to express themselves as journalists, free of constraints, if other than violating laws that are strictly prohibiting like incitable violence, yelling fire in the crowded theater, etc., etc. And then in the case of comedians, I think they should be entitled to even more. They really should be able to ridicule, make fun of the political figures and political phenomena or movements without the fear that they can be pulled off air or punished. But other than that, I think there's one other angle that I wanted to add to this conversation, which is that, remember, this is before FCC issued any rulings taking away licenses, which they probably can't really do, or any court order NBC to stop Kimmel. It's before that happened. It's actually the companies, the employers preemptively doing this. In fact, the word preemptive was used in the news report for putting Kimmel indefinitely in suspension. So I think to me this is even more concerning, because if this were there was a court challenge of FCC's action, that's one thing that a federal judge could issue based on constitutional First Amendment right that the FCC had done something wrong. But this is before that. The companies themselves, ostensibly for the purpose of their business dealings, as in trying to gain favor from FCC to allow them to buy stations or to make exceptions to whatever the 39% rule of ownership, that they themselves are doing this. So that they're sort of doing the bidding of the government in terms of restricting speech. And I think nowadays, with technology being such an integral part of our lives, we should be more aware that First Amendment doctrine or previous case laws, maybe they need to be updated in modern days to understand the power of these private companies regulating speech themselves, ostensibly for private purposes, but in fact it's impacting the everyday citizens' way of life and freedom of speech via the comedians or news broadcasters. So I think that's even more concerning to me. And if this trend continues under the current administration, where law firms are capitulating, stations are paying out $50 and $60 million settlement, even though they may have a fairly decent chance of winning in court of law if this will come before a federal judge for final resolution, I think that will impact our way of life much further than any particular comedian or even administration. I would think that this is a platform that we should be, all of us, voters or not, should make it known that we want to defend our right to freedom of speech and be aware of the power of private companies, sort of in cahoot with the small, not small government. To me, what what this administration has done is really not a standard typical of philosophy of small government, but rather they're pretty looming large in our lives with their actions, direct or indirect. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you so much, Ben. Appreciate your contribution to the conversation. And let's go to my dear friend Abby. Abby, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. So first of all, to just clear up a couple things Ben said, which I wasn't even going to talk about. You absolutely can yell fire in a theater as long as it's not an untruth. Scott. If there happens to be a fire in a theater, you better yell it. It's only when it's an untruth that it is not protected. With respect to his other comment, which is the prior restraint that he's claiming for the Preemptive Act, these are private companies. It's already been litigated in front of the Supreme Court with respect to how much government regulation is going to attach to these companies. We had the case, what was it, last year or the year before with Twitter? So, I mean, I would argue not for more government and more government involvement, especially in the private sector. I actually was coming up to talk about one of the companies involved because I know them extremely well. I've had many contractual deals with them, and I know the senior management of the company. And I also understand how the market share works with ratings and sponsors. And you really have to look at, first of all, Sinclair and Nexstar. First of all, Sinclair actually had the deal to buy Tribune as they spun off the actual newspaper, and Tribune was going to sell those stations. And that was during the Trump administration in 2018, and the FCC did come to their side. Sinclair ended up not doing the deal, and lost a lot of money in the transaction. Shareholders took a bite with that. And now Nexstar picks up the same deal basically to come in and saturate the market and own and go over the monopoly number of ownerships of these affiliate stations. These I can speak to Sinclair, which is a conservative company. David Smith is conservative, although on his board he has Democrats and outspoken Democrats. He has a mix on his board. Also in his senior management, there's a mix. But it is a conservative leaning company. And it's their choice if they want to air different syndications or different TV shows or not. And, I really think you have to look at the business decisions that they made and also what Nexstar made. And it also has to do with viewership. I said this in another room. Steve was in the room with me. It was a big stage, and I asked how many people on the stage actually watch regular network TV, because most of these late night shows were a result of people that were tuning in for the 11 o'clock local news in their cities, and then they naturally would go on to the late show. And the viewership on the evening news is, they're winning with a 2 to a 3 point share in ratings when it used to be 12 to 15 points. I mean, it's just dropped substantially. And sponsors have dropped. These stations make their money during the election cycles. It's considerable money, especially with PAC money, which is so much more than when the candidate themselves is buying the airtime. So I think those are all their business factors, and that coupled with these companies not making their choice. And yes, could it be that they want to gain favor with the FCC? Perhaps that's the reason Nexstar made that choice. However, that's a business choice of a company, of a private company. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Abby. Always great to see you. And let's go to Chris. Chris, welcome to the stage. What do you have to say?
Hey, what's going on, Howard and Alan? For the recorded page in this room, please send my wishes to Gary directly and keep recording. Let's get to the topic. Should Kimmel have been suspended? Well, obviously not.
Again, another overreach from our administration. The sensitive bunch, I guess. Window, I sure hope you're looking down, because we ain't going quiet, we go screaming. The people who told us that the liberals were crying liberal here. Very crazy to witness people try to make sense of it as if they had any sense of what type of rating it should. Any of these shows were having prior to yesterday, actually. Yesterday. Like, this wasn't a topic, so with everybody digging and filing for research and analysis and ways to conform the vision they believe, very impressive, I will say. Now, but if heaven has a window, I will say it in my words, idiotic, but impressive. And the reason I say it's idiotic because we don't have to reach that far to make this shit make sense. The man stated that Charlie Kirk's death was bad. We all agree. Nobody needs to be assassinated, shot, whatever. We can go the whole. We all know the spiel that we're all supposed to say here. But that wasn't what was funny about that joke. What was funny about that joke was that he told the American people that Donald Trump reacted to Charlie Kirk's death like a 4-year-old who just lost his goldfish.
Your show sucks, dude.
That is a quality comedic joke at the highest level. Why? Because the video that he showed prior to that was exactly that of a child, no disrespect to the president, excuse me, of a man who obviously seemed to not care or give a fuck about what happened yesterday. Hey, listen.
Dude, this.
I'm all right. Hey, Mr. President, how are you feeling about Charlie Kirk death, knowing that he's the close friend? I'm good. However, look at all them trucks over there. See that stuff I told you I was building in the backyard? That's going up right now. You asked me about that.
Jesus
You asked me about the trucks
you.
that got all that cement in them, man. We about to put that ballroom together like we planned. Now, yes, I'm paraphrasing a lot of that. I made a lot of that up for the entertainment of this conversation. But that is exactly what that man did on national TV after being asked about a tragic death that just happened days ago. So what Jimmy Kimmel stated was probably the closest fact of truth that we've gotten out of anybody in the last few days. The man actually did not give a damn anymore about the conversation about Charlie Kirk. Basically the same amount of not give a fucks that he have about the Epstein file, if we're being honest. So yeah, witnessing him use the FCC as his battering ram to people attacking or making him feel less than who he is. It's sad because we shouldn't be able to, again, this is just another instance of the administration overreaching in categories that should be bipartisan. And the people that are supposed to be bipartisan in those categories actually just saying, no, I'll bend the knee. For whatever reason, if that's just loyalty or you have something over me, we don't know. We don't know why he keeps winning lawsuits against television networks for basically nothing. Why they're paying out specifically for basically nothing. Now, I use basically to hold a lot of weight here because I don't want to go into details of what they've been sued for. But the same goes for the Jimmy Kimmel. Hey, you need to accept an apology and you need to donate to the charity. That sounds like a shakedown in my eye because he never said anything to disrespect Charlie Kirk's death. But we've watched the shakedown now for going on 10 months. Since the president took office, we've literally watched the shakedown of America. Companies, organizations, hell, our museums are being shut down now. Next will be the American people. Maybe we were the first because he told us that he would get the prices down, and we completely forgot about that, or at least his base did, while he threw everything out at us and told us we were all supposed to pay attention to the other issues. So back to the topic. Should Kimmel have been suspended? No. It would be foolish to keep trying to make reasons around network TV dying. Hey, somebody's watching it. I Googled it. They said the highest ratings is between 7 and 11 on all national television. That still leaks into Kimmel still having some baseline or base of the TV slot. And realistically, yet nobody watches TV, but everybody sees clips. So yeah, you may have a loss leader, but TV also shouldn't be all for profit. Because if it's all for profit, that basically just tells us they can do whatever they want to make sure it's making money for them, but it does not have to be quality entertainment for the American people. And that's what the FCC should be fighting for. Not one left wing or right wing joke going a little bit too far. It should be making sure that the quality of the information is good. And if you're telling me that the joke about Donald Trump wasn't quality information, well, maybe you guys shouldn't be in charge of entertainment. Air quotes there. I hope y'all caught that. Air quotes, entertainment. Or the ability to affect our entertainment. Because he never got out of body, he never said anything rude. Only thing he might have said rude was directly to the president, and that's who affected his job. Very crazy to witness. I wish we would stop trying to politicize and overanalyze everything for the sake of being the person in the room that may seem like the biggest brain. And let's just start speaking from our troops, our heart. Well, if we would have seen this on any other demographic, any other base, any other political party, even if it was an independent political party, we would all be up in order. We should not allow our First Amendment rights to be taken away under the pretenses of a situation that none of us have anything to do with. They're working real hard to convince us that our First Amendment rights shouldn't be this open and free. I don't care what Charlie Kirk said about me. I'm a black man in America. It wouldn't be the first time a white man went on stage somewhere and tried to discourage people from believing black people can, will, and do. We've survived it this far, guys. So now let's not have air quote, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but people, like Kimmel said, like the Utah governor said, people start being sad, depressed, hurt, and ass hurt behind words that 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 4 weeks ago, you didn't care about. They're using you. They're abusing you. They got you fighting for something you don't care about when your prices are still high. And I'm going to land here. Because I appreciate the time, and I know Gary left, so we probably got a little extended time, but I don't want to do too much. I've said a lot.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Hold on, I got you. But let me land with this, and I got you. Truthfully, I really think we need to come together as a people and start having better conversations in the middle. And if everybody has an analysis take from their left side, or everybody has some deep analysis take from the right side, we'll never get to the middle where we get to have a real polished conversation, a real open and honest conversation about where we all feel we should be now. Because I'm sure this is not what the Republican Party thought. The Republican voters, I promise you, didn't think this was going this far. Same goes for the leftist voters. Same goes for the independent and left center, whatever you want to call it, right center, whatever. We all now need to start having a discussion. Is this what we picture for our future? And if that's the case, and we get to the table and we have a real honest, earnest conversation about where we all stand in this America, and we find out that this is the best case scenario, then fuck it, that's the best case scenario. But it's time to start having real conversation with real feelings, real emotion that don't tie you back to Republican or Democrat, or independent or Republican, or leftist or right. We need to have a real human conversation so we can figure out how to stop some of this before we lose it all fighting each other. All right, thank you, Scott. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Howard.
Thank you so much, Chris.
What did we even say other than say we need to have a polished conversation? I didn't hear a fucking thing come out of his lips that had anything to do with anything.
All right, Steve, welcome to the stage. What do you have to say, my friend?
Pleasure to be here, and I hope it's okay. I'm going to read an op-ed, an article that I posted on my Facebook this morning. This is by a Los Angeles criminal defense attorney and sometimes ABC commentator Lou Shapiro. Quote, Jimmy Kimmel's suspension from ABC followed remarks he made during his monologue about the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. On September 15th, he said, quote, we hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it, close quote. He also criticized the responses by political figures joking that former President Trump was the fourth stage of grief construction after Trump, when asked if he was holding up, responded by talking about a new ballroom being built at the White House. The reaction was swift and polarizing. President Donald Trump gloated, quote, great news for America, close quote. The ratings challenged Jimmy Kimmel's show is canceled. Kimmel has zero talent and worse ratings than even Colbert, if that's possible, close quote. He later added, Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. On the other side, celebrities and political leaders rallied to Kimmel's defense. Actor Ben Stiller posted simply, "This isn't right." Actress Jean Smart wrote, "I am horrified at the cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel Live. What Jimmy said was free speech, not hate speech. People seem to only want to protect free speech when it suits their agenda. What is happening to our country?" Comedian Wanda Sykes accused the Trump administration of silencing dissent. Rosie O'Donnell, Kathy Griffin, and Sophia Bush all joined in condemning the suspension, warning of rising authoritarianism and chilling effects on free speech. Political figures also weighed in. Former President Barack Obama warned that the administration has taken cancel culture to a dangerous level by threatening regulatory action against media companies. California Governor Gavin Newsom condemned the suspension, accusing decision makers of prioritizing politics over democratic values. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker was blunt. A free and democratic society cannot silence comedians because the president doesn't like what they say. This is an attack on free speech and cannot be allowed to stand. ABC's decision appears to be driven by the backlash those remarks provoked. Affiliates, notably Nexstar, condemned Kimmel's statements as offensive and insensitive in a tense political climate. The network also likely saw risk in relationships with advertisers, regulators, and local stations, worried about audience backlash. Added to that, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr criticized the comments as misleading and suggested potential regulatory consequences for ABC and Disney. It's important to differentiate between the constitutional protection of free speech and the rights of a private employer under contract law. The First Amendment restricts government censorship or punishment, not actions by private entities. ABC is a private network. Its contracts with on-air talent customarily include clauses, morals clauses, reputational harm clauses, advertiser relations clauses, etc., that give the networks discretion to discipline or suspend hosts whose public speech could harm the company's reputational or financial interests. In this case, Kimmel's statements accusing a political faction, the MAGA gang, of opportunism, implying misinformation or mischaracterization, mocking how a high-profile figure is responding, arguably fall within what ABC might deem risky under such contract provisions. Even accepting that ABC has contractual authority, many see the remedy, an indefinite suspension, as disproportionate. Kimmel's comment, while controversial, was part of his role as satirist, commentator. Punishing a public figure so severely for expressing political commentary may chill others from speaking out, especially in media and comedy, where exaggeration, provocation, and critique are part of the craft. Less punitive options could have achieved accountability without silencing him indefinitely. For example, ABC could have imposed a shorter fixed suspension of 1 week, coupled with an opportunity for Kimmel to issue a public apology. Such remedies would acknowledge the seriousness of the controversy while also respecting the role of satire and commentary in democratic discourse. Instead, the indefinite suspension feels excessive, amplifying concerns about overreaction. In conclusion, though Jimmy Kimmel's suspension generates strong feelings, it does not constitute a constitutional violation of free speech. ABC, as a private employer, retains the legal right to enforce contractual clauses and manage how its talent public speech aligns with its business and regulatory objectives. Still, it's not right to rejoice in someone's misfortune. Whether one agrees with Kimmel or not, celebrating his punishment undermines the values of open dialogue and mutual respect that should guide public debate. In moments like these, it is especially important to remain balanced and measured, recognizing both the rights of private companies and the need to preserve space for honest and open dialogue, even when the message is flawed. Lou Shapiro is a criminal defense attorney, certified specialist, and legal analyst out of Century City. He's occasionally on Facebook and can be reached at louisjshapiro@gmail.com. I land my clubhouse plane.
Thank you, Uncle Steve. And see Uncle Steve for the Critical Thinking After Party. He usually pops the room open, so he's a great guy to hang out with. And we will go to Steve. Steve, I moved you down just because you were unmuted, so glad you're back, buddy. Glad you got back on the stage. And you will actually close us down. Steve, my man, what do you have to say on the topic of the day?
Well, you know, to what Uncle Steve was just articulating, you know, the function of any company is your fiduciary function. If you have a board and you have investors, is return on your investment. And if you look at a map, and I looked at one the other day where Sinclair had their stations all throughout the United States. This was a map where Sinclair, based on the climate, was going to take a hit. And if you're in that boardroom and you don't do something to protect your client, and you don't do something to protect your investment, then you haven't done your fiduciary responsibility. Is it over the top? Possibly. We're in the heated climate, throwing things back and forth all the time. I had a small company one time, and if one of my employers was out there aggravating my clients all the time and it was costing me money, guess what? I hired you not to be a voice for my company. I do that. That's not your job. So, you know, was there FCC stuff? Possibly. I was looking at where Sinclair and another company is talking about mergers. But these are all business models. And, you know, you can't complete the First Amendment when it comes to someone running the business. If you want to go to work for someone, like Steve was talking about, there's clauses in contracts. A lot of contracts are at will anymore. That's where you're right to articulate yourself in a manner that could be detrimental to someone that's put time, sweat, blood, and money in a corporation that you don't have the right to go out on your own and sabotage. If you want to do that, start your own company and then just say whatever you want to. But in that case, I would suggest that if you operate a company like that, you'd probably go bankrupt. So that's my take on it.
Great point.
Thank you so much, everybody. And that brings the room to a close. Thanks, everybody, for being with us. Thank you, Alan, for being here. And Howard, thank you so much for modding here. And prayers, thoughts and prayers with Gary and his bleeding foot. And we all hope that his foot is heals up nicely. Thank you all, and we will see you all tomorrow for the end of the week show. Peace.
Yeah, let me talk.
What is she, is she gonna know what she's done?
Everybody's gonna listen. No problem. I'll close the room.
No, Royal.
No, because it's annoying as fuck, and I'm trying to expose
No, Royal.
somebody. You guys are not gonna let me get my shit off. I'll just kick you out the room, or I'll fucking end the room. I don't give a fuck. Like if this is the whole point, I opened the fucking room, right? So this guy, he said here, oh well, I want to get back to my argument. And I said, okay, give your argument. Then he says, yeah, because we were rudely interrupted. Bitch, what? I just entered the room. I said, hey guys, what are you talking about? And you said, oh, hey Royal, you were in Amir's room? What were you talking about over there? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah? No? Yeah, literally is what he said. So I told him what I was saying in the other room, and then I came there. Yeah, no problem. So then he goes, oh, we were rudely interrupted. I said, how are you rudely interrupted? When I said, hey guys, What are we talking about?
Hey, I was just playing a clip for somebody. I'm trying to explain to you what happened in the room because you weren't in there.
Trust Qatari government or the people, and there are a lot of slavery going on. A lot of people died in Qatar when there was the war final going on. I don't know what was it.
Only like 300,000 are like actual citizens, right? The rest are like all kinds of like workers and like.
Yeah.
300,000. That's the number of citizens in this country.
Yes, it's
If I
even more.
remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I remember.
Yeah, that's correct. But it's even more because some of them they don't have any ID, and they get their passports. It's like they basically kidnap them. It's a neo slavery. It's a very bad country. I mean, it's even.
And they were able to host what was it, the soccer, the championship, or like what was the FIFA. And this is like part of this white them into like as a normal country. And I think that yes, and I think the good thing about what the attack that Israel did in Qatar, maybe the timing was questionable, but it was like masks off. Like they're playing as this mediator while also hosting Hamas and also operating Al Jazeera. I just didn't get it from the get-go. What the fuck makes them mediators? They are like participants. They are like the financiers and the propaganda arm. They are not like a third party. They should be. I don't get it how they're not like how Israel doesn't sue those countries with the same way that South Africa and all those are suing Israel.
Because they say that. Yeah, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. And since America or USA has the biggest base there, basically Qatar is hard to ignore for Israel. But I think Israel did the right thing. Actually, Iranian and Iran and Iranian people are happy.
You can have these in the store.
Okay, I'm just gonna give this and then I'm gonna go away. You're good.
Sorry?
Sorry, someone's talking. Normal.
Amazon?
I'm using normal. It's talking to a delivery guy.
Speaking of the bubble thunders there, do you remember the Sri Lankan army fighting against the Tamils, I think circa 2006, 2011? I mean, there were reports of tens of thousands of civilians killed. No one gave a shit. Not a single demonstration in Europe. I mean, just think about it.
Listen, you know,
the
entire world is up in arms about this Israeli attack on Hamas on Qatari territory. 3 months earlier, Iran launched missiles at American targets in Qatar territories. Everybody acknowledged that the attack was not on Qatar, but on the United States, which was an enemy to Iran. And in this case, the world flips out with condemnation left and right, as if we attacked Qatar. It was just 3 months ago. How could people like forget it? It's the same country.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of it. They were talking about the removing Kimmel from the show.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
And first off, Moose and JCC, were you able to hear the music and hear me talking? I just couldn't hear you, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, we heard the music.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay, great. JCC, thank you. Appreciate that. We just started because I was just playing a little bit of music. So let's first go to JCC. JCC, you want to talk or you want to defer to Moose for now?
Moose could say, my 2 cents is neither Kimmel nor Stephen Colbert should have been fired. However, it is what it is. Maybe bigger things will come for them. So
you got it. Okay, Moose, go ahead there, bro.
I echo JCC's sentiment. I mean, you just cannot make this stuff up. If you know, a lot of folks were upset that Kirk was allegedly killed for his. Well, we all know he's killed, but for allegedly exercising his free speech. And yeah, I agree. Nobody should be killed for exercising free speech, and I don't think anybody should be canceled for exercising free speech, particularly comedians. But I guess it's one thing to be doing your bit at a bar, except when your bar is owned by corporate mega corporations. Well, then let's cue the censorship. I think these are concerning days if this is a pattern.
I'm going to say something that's
This is a
totally
Steve Appel room here
politically
on Clubhouse.
incorrect, but I believe is 100% is true. I totally support cancel culture because, in my humble opinion, I stress opinion, cancel culture is democracy at its heart. You get millions of people that say, I don't want this person on your TV show, or I'm going to stop buying your paper towels. That is pure democracy. And y'all, you are all free to disagree with me, but I totally support, we'll do it in order. And if you want to come
slandering your political opponents is democracy.
The show earlier, Critical Thinking, they were talking and it was titled about Jimmy Kimmel, so let's rock and roll. Jerome Powell, I don't think I've spoken with you before, have I?
I think we did.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure to speak to you again. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you. Hi. To be honest, I just gave you this big eye thing because you said you support the cancel.
Absolutely, 100%. Yes, I do.
Yeah, but the example you gave that's not really the cancel culture.
Really? What is a better example? Please educate.
No. You scared me because you said you were supporting the cancel culture, and then you gave this example, and I thought,
I don't support all the people that are canceled, but I totally support the premise of cancel culture because I believe it is our truest form of democracy. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, okay, but the example you gave is less worrying than I thought, right? Because I don't support the cancel culture because it's a lot of people it's a small group of people screaming and making a lot of noise, but it's not I'm a little rusty in my English. It's not they're not talking for everybody. You know what I mean? So when you gave the example, I thought, okay, you're still my friend. That's sort of a joke.
I wasn't referring to Charlie Kirk or Kimmel. I was referring to the premise of cancel culture.
Yeah. But the example you gave, I can totally. I can
Millions of people saying that if you don't take that person off the air, we're no longer going to buy your paper towels. That's exactly what I said. Yes.
Okay. What is that a cancel?
Advertisers control the air. If every single advertiser canceled their contract on the Jimmy Kimmel show, his show would have been canceled immediately, and no one would have questioned it. They would have blamed it all on the advertisers. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, but that's still not the cancel culture then, right?
Well, educate me. What is cancel? What is cancel culture?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
No. Okay.
Well, if you don't know, how can you argue what I'm saying is wrong?
No. It's not wrong. I think you do. No. You're fine. It's just you said I support the cancel culture. And
I support the premise of cancel culture because I think it's one of the truest forms of democracy. Yes, I've said it 3 times.
Yeah, and
yes.
I can hear you. I just came in, so I should I can also listen, of course.
I love that.
I would like to give you a compliment because it sounds really hard, like the cancel culture thing. But in this case, I totally agree with you because this is the way it works. Who pays? What is the saying about it?
Steve Appel's a bitch.
Advertising
A big
controls
stupid
media,
bitch.
not content.
So is JCC. Marshall.
If all the advertisers
This
stood
show
up to
already
ABC and
sucks.
said,
And Moon,
if you take the
Moose
show
is
and
also
Kimmel
a
off
bitch.
the air,
El
we're
Normo.
taking our
I like El
billions of
Normo. Everybody
advertising
else on this
dollars off.
stage is
He
a
would not have been
bitch.
taken off the air and the show would not have been suspended. Take my word for it.
Yeah, I do. So thank you, and I totally agree.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I love it when people agree with me. Let's say hello to Normal. Hey, Normal, I know you just got here. Did you want to talk or did you want to hang?
Well, I wanted to say that the expression is, he who pays the piper calls the tune.
Oh, yeah.
And there, no, sir, who was that? Was that Jerome? You got to hang. You got to stay on mute. It's also, Norm, you don't bite the hand that feeds, but please continue.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Now, there's another truth here, and that truth is that these networks are hemorrhaging money these days.
Yep.
So whatever contract
they hold with their late night talk show hosts, however many millions of dollars they're. I have a feeling they're having difficulty getting the kinds of ratings that they had as recently as 10 years ago.
No question about it. I mean, all of late night, the ratings and the advertising revenue have been going downhill steadily. Yes.
That's right. And, you know, the ratings for YouTube are up, and you can watch a million different things on YouTube. So what do you want to sit there and watch television with commercials for?
It's not only that, but if you're on YouTube, what is the production value of a YouTube cost? A couple of $100, a couple of $1,000. They pay millions of dollars to produce each show, don't they? I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. So the world is changing, and this is not only a political decision. I think it is. I think it was horrible taste for Jimmy Kimmel to wade into this matter with the body he's not even told. But I also think they had a financial motivation.
Norm, I think they were looking for an excuse. Just my opinion. It's not like everything else was okie dokie until this comment occurred. I think they were looking for an excuse because of the low ratings, because of the loss of revenue, and this was just sort of this was just an excuse, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, pretext.
I don't think he should have gotten fired for what he said, but I do think what he said was incredibly problematic. 4 days after the guy was shot, he was making a claim about political motivations of the shooter being on the right-hand side of the aisle, when the responsible thing is to go, political violence is bad. It's bad when it's done on all sides, period. And Kimmel tried to equivocate in a way that, like, drug him into something he shouldn't have. It took his ability to be funny and made it political in a way that was just not helpful to his overall message.
Sounded to me like he was gravy training a death to get back at MAGA and to use it as he was gravy training a horrible death to stick another sword in MAGA's chest. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, he was being rather explicit about his views. The people on the right were trying desperately to turn him into something, to turn him into anything other than, quote, one of them. I think it's incredibly unwise for Kimmel to have made such a remark. I just feel like there needs to be clarification from my view. Shouldn't have gotten fired. I don't think that should have got him off the air. But he shouldn't have said it. He was piling on top.
It was in very bad taste, I'll tell you that.
He was doing the same thing that President Trump did that was so destructive for the country. It was destructive when Trump blamed it all on the left, and if it's destructive, Kimmel just blames it all on the right. It doesn't help.
Thank you.
Did I get in here real quick?
Yeah, hold on. We got Necro and then Steve Wee. Necro.
Yeah, in general, it's like, I just think with Kimmel, like with cancel culture, I don't like it, and it's not because though I'm a person who is, anybody who's woke who lost his job recently for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death or anything like that. But it's also not because I'm not it's also not because I'm a person who is conservative, who has ideas that a lot of people just find really unpopular. I just think it's ultimately kind of like essentially
They were so unpopular they led to the last presidential win and the largest youth vote since Richard Nixon.
Yeah, well, I mean, essentially, like, yeah, I just think conservatives, though, like, when they complain about cancel culture, they complain essentially, like, about ideas that they complain about, and they speak about the next day, like, abortion, like, when they're anti-abortion, they complain that they're canceled for being against it, and then they go and speak about it the next day. But anyways, I'm against cancel culture mostly because I just see it as a weapon that shows, like, to try to just, create. It's just essentially creating a mob to shut up other people Now you might say, like,
You would agree Kimmel should have created his own law.
can I? Okay. So, but it's like I see your point, Steve. Essentially, that it's democracy. Because I mean, essentially, democracy is kind of like everybody saying your ideas suck. You know, get off the stage.
Or I won't buy your product.
Yeah, it's it's everybody giving their honest opinion, and yeah, you can say that it's difficult to stand on, but it's like I mean, so I do see your point, Steve, definitely.
Thank you, appreciate it.
But in general, that's my reason I'm against cancel culture, and it's not because I'm a lefty who lost his job recently, but it's also not because
there are plenty of good reasons not to support cancel culture. Not a problem.
Yeah, it's also not because, like I said, that my ideas suck as a conservative.
No, not at all. Thank you. Okay, Steve Wee.
Yeah, I don't mean to reiterate this, but I think it's an important point in a new room. If you take I looked at a map the other day of the location of Sinclair's broadcast facilities across the United States. Now, whether people want to accept this or not, it's really irrelevant because the station managers in those markets know what their audience is. And if you're a corporation and you're in a market where these type of things is going to cause financial damage to you, and you're running a corporation, it's your fiduciary responsibility to try to protect your corporation. And I think that more than anything, that's what Sinclair's saying. They got stations in markets, believe it or not, that doesn't think like certain segments of the United States. And I think they went to ABC and told ABC, hey man, look, you're watching us. If you don't say something about this, they don't have to carry Kimball. They could, and they did. They threatened to pull him off there and put another guy in his time slot. You know what that's called? That's called responding to your customers and staying in business.
Yes, sir. Let's go to David. Hi, David.
Good afternoon. I want to say this, and I respect you. We have a Sinclair station here in the Northwest, which is as liberal as anything on the West Coast. And our state actually voted more liberally than the previous election, which is hard to do. And Sinclair isn't afraid to publish their ultra-conservative viewpoint on their news broadcasts in our world. So please, they don't change it for where they are. I'm not a Kimmel fan. I don't think he should have been fired. Obviously, this is financial, not because of the people broadcasting him, but the people who want to do deals and need to get them done. And I said it in the other room. We have a $15 billion suit against the New York Times from this administration. We have ABC backing down from a lawsuit that they knew they could win. We have other places where now the media is being made afraid to comment on what they really want to say.
And ABC, Disney that owns ABC is a $200 billion company. Please continue.
Right. And so many of these shows, the news shows, not the comedy shows, but the news shows were always operating often at a loss because it was more seen as a public good. And some of their licenses actually have parts of public good in their license that they have to do certain things.
I would think all of them have them,
right.
But please continue.
Right. So I would love to see what they're going to replace this losing Kimmel show with and see how much money they make off it. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. I want to go to the mods, but before we go to the mods, I want to play a 2-minute clip. So JCC, Marshall, Daryl, get ready. And if you're in the audience, come on up. This is, I think it's on point. It's about halfway through The People versus Larry Flint, and it's the closing argument made in his trial where they were trying to make illegal his Hustler magazine. I think it's on point to this, but check it out.
Well, here we go, another boring ass little buttercup room spreading her propaganda, wasting all the time, talking about nothing. It's pathetic, buttercup. Get a life. Do something with yourself. Go to the gym, I don't know, do some yoga. Make a video. Do something creative. You're gonna burn out doing this. It's a waste of time what you're doing,
I'm
little
not trying to
buttercup.
convince you that you should like what Larry Flint does. I don't like what Larry Flint does. But what I do like is that I live in a country where you and I can make that decision for ourselves. I like that I live in a country where I can pick up Hustler magazine and read it if I want to, or throw it in the garbage can if that's where I think it belongs. Or better yet, I can exercise my opinion and not buy it. I like that I have that right. I care about it. And you should care about it too. You really should. Because we live in a free country. You know, we say that a lot, but I think sometimes we forget really what that means. So listen to it again. We live in a free country. And that's a powerful idea. That's a magnificent way to live. But there is a price for that freedom, which is that sometimes we have to tolerate things that we don't necessarily like. So go back in that room where you are free to think whatever you want to think about Larry Flint and Hustler magazine. But then ask yourselves if you want to make that decision for the rest of us. Because the freedom that everyone in the room enjoys is in a very real way in your hands. And if we start throwing up walls against what some of us think is obscene, we may very well wake up one morning and realize that walls have been thrown up in all kinds of places that we never expected. And we can't see anything or do anything. And that's not freedom. That is not freedom. So be careful.
And let's go to our mods. JCC.
Hang on, I can't talk.
Yeah, okay, let's go to Marshall.
I tend to agree with Cliff. We don't want to erect barriers to free speech culture or free speech in that way. It's wrong when the government gets involved in viewpoint discrimination, and Americans have to think about what they say and whether it adds to the national discourse or not. Because, like it or not, the whole national discourse is built of small conversations. And we have to decide whether we're going to stand up for an idea that people should be able to say what they'd like to say, not get fired, and that you can call somebody celebrating another person's assassination unhelpful at the same time. I think we have to have both of those kinds of thoughts in our head, and I think it's unfortunate we live in a country where our president, instead of choosing to unite the country when he had the pulpit, decided to blame it on one particular party. That shouldn't have been the message. The message should have been political violence is wrong. It doesn't matter who does it. It's always wrong. Same way we think murder's wrong. Murder's wrong. It's always wrong. It doesn't matter who does it.
Thank you, Marshall. There's no question in my mind, no question at all, black and white, no gray, that the government brought pressure to bear. But is this a free speech First Amendment issue? No, it is not. This is a business decision. Now, did the government violate the Constitution by bringing pressure to bear? I'm not sure. I don't know. Let's go to David. Hi, David.
Hey, I want to comment. This is Daryl.
I'm sorry, Daryl. Sorry about that, Daryl.
No worries. You know, comedy has always talked about, you know, this quote unquote the right to offend, right? And you know, this goes back to like the Great Depression. So during the Great Depression, the Marx Brothers, Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy, they would make fun of, or at least bring satire to like tough situations. And you know, it's been studied and talked about that comedy was the number one way of escapism through the Great Depression for many people. So there's always been this this idea or this philosophy about the right to offend without necessarily causing harm per se, right? And so if we're at the point where, you know, people are just so thin-skinned that, you know, the right to offend doesn't exist anymore, then what is next? You know, it's what else will people find offensive? You know, and where does this go? Because comedy has really helped this country tackle like some serious issues, even the Vietnam War.
You were boring and
You know,
pointless.
you would bring comedians out to see the troops, and the comedians would make fun of what the troops were doing in the Vietnam War. So is it that comedy is no longer has the right to offend, or is it just the comedy I want to hear or you want to hear, and any other joke is just, you know, tasteless per se, you know? But yeah, I fall back on like leave comedians alone because they've been doing this for 100 years.
Thank you. Scott Jones, would you like to contribute or are you good?
I just think it's so interesting that Trump kind of ran on this being a free speech advocate, and how, you know, the woke left was censoring people, and that, you know, he was, you know, for a free speech guy, and then he's a guy that really tries to use the powers of his cultural influence to censor people.
More Stephen Belcher, an angry old man
Son of a gun, and which, you know, I mean, that's one thing. I mean, you know, people think I'm censorious, but it's just interesting where he
Giant got
being
kicked.
the opposite of censorious, and yeah, pretty thin-skinned, and it's continuing. Again, I read in the room, but I'll read it again. The Truth, you know, from Truth Social. I love it that they call it Truths, but he says 15 hours ago, he said, "Great news for America. The ratings challenged Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. Kimmel has zero talent and worse ratings than even Colbert. Okay, if that's possible. That leaves Jimmy and Seth to total losers on fake news NBC. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it NBC, President DJ. No, if that's not the push to censor, right? I mean, he's. I hope NBC doesn't have any mergers or anything before them, because if that's not a pincer, I don't know what is.
Thank you. Daniel, you're next up. Daniel.
B?
I think Daniel. Daniel? Hi, Dan.
Which Daniel? I think there are a couple.
I showed Daniel Nero as first in my queue.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for that. And I'll be brief. I just wanted to dovetail on the Larry Flint comment. And I think that, like, if Kimmel spent more time, you know, writing funny jokes instead of, you know, sticking his nose into places where they don't belong, then he would probably still have a job. Like, the guy just wasn't funny. He probably didn't even write that joke. The Charlie Cook, Kirk stuff. But anyway, I wanted to dovetail into the Larry Flint stuff. And I think we should focus on what's more important, the big stuff, the big topics. And I do mean big. So I've been a long-time subscriber to Jugs magazine. And I think that, look, just like Larry Flint, you know, the man was pushing the boundaries on sides. Wow, these women with tiny breasts are so hot. No. Boom. Get these women with these...
Come on, Steve. Do we have to listen to this?
Stop interrupting me.
Hold on, everybody. Go on mute really quickly. Jane, that's warning one. You may not have been here, but 10 minutes ago, I played a clip from the People Against Larry Flint that was directly on point to freedom of speech and First Amendment? So the answer is yes. He has not stepped over the line and gotten explicit, and I strongly suspect he's going to keep his Larry Flint remarks pertaining to the First Amendment. So the answer is yes. Sir, please continue.
Yeah, if Jimmy Kimmel were anything like Larry Flint, providing the type of service that Larry Flint did, then you should have some outreach. But doesn't Kimmel just suck, though? Honestly, thank you for the stage. Appreciate it. And also, I think we need more than we need talking heads and bullshit opinions from people like Jimmy Kimmel.
Thank you very much. Next in my queue, it looks like I show Young. Hi, Young.
Hey, big bro.
Yo.
Yeah.
Would you like to contribute or just want to say hello to me?
Yeah, I'd like to contribute, I guess.
Go ahead.
It's about Jimmy Kimmel only, free speech? Or is it just Kirk?
You can say anything you want for a few minutes as long as it's respectful.
Yes, sir. Okay. So I would say what I've observed, everybody who's on the, I'll try to be a moderate, but everybody on the right wing, it seems like the far right wing, they're blending in with the Confederates. The old Democrats, they joined the Confederates. I mean, they joined the right wing party, and now they're like the far right wing, and nobody can tell that they did that. Most people can't. That's Christian. So I think they need to pay attention, like what's beside them, and that's the reason why our country is going that way, because that far right wing doesn't want us to have.
You mean, I'm sorry to interrupt, you mean the Christian religion is going astray by believing in things that just are not true?
No, just white supremacy Christianity.
Oh, I'm sorry. I obviously I misheard him. Please come.
Oh yeah, not Christianity in its like pure, but in its extremist forms, the colonization type of form. That is the thing that everybody yells about and doesn't want in their country, or do they want that in their family? Because of that type of version. So on the Kirk thing, I've been talking to a lot of our Christian brothers and stuff like that. But we've been chatting. We've been having good conversations about. Well, some of them don't have a conversation with me because they're supremacists. Hit causes supremacy. So, dealing with him, his situation. God bless him. Nobody prayed that he went through that. I think that it may be a governmental thing that shot him, because JFK, it was a driver that was supposedly that shot him.
You believe that there's a conspiracy with the.
Yeah. Hello? It broke up. I can't hear you, Steve.
Yeah, Steve, you were not audible for the last 25 seconds.
Yeah, we couldn't
Yeah, we lost you, Steve. Repeat what you said about conspiracy.
He took off. He'll come back, I guess.
Yeah, repeat what you said, because I didn't hear what the claim, what's going on.
Oh, okay. So in my theory, I would say based off of Trump's release of the FBI.
How am I now? Damn this clubhouse. Damn this.
Just fine, Steve.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I appreciate you guys for this. So I think so much to say, but I was going to say I think based off of Trump releasing the papers that the government, in a sense, killed JFK.
You mean the JFK papers or the Epstein papers?
JFK, yeah, that one. My bad.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I think it's an inside job, but yet everybody's falling for the same thing. Like they're like, hey, there's a liberal, he did it, but they're not learning the lesson that it was the government at first. So there's an inner fight that's going on, some kind of Caesar type of crap. So that's my theory about it. So many things about this man, and then I'm gonna close on this. I believe that Jesus could accept socialism. I believe he could accept any type of governmental structure, because it says on his shoulders will be the government, and the first century church they had all things in common.
Do you believe Jesus is coming back next week during Rosh Hashanah? Someone told me that.
Nobody knows the day or the hour. No.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, listen. Hey, thank you. I appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And by the way, if you've never heard the Ask the Atheist show on Sunday, you might want to check it out. Let's go to the Daniel number 2. Hi, Daniel number 2. Daniel. Hello, Daniel. Once, twice. All right. Brian. Hi, Brian. Brian.
Hey, Uncle Steve, during the week. How cool can that be?
This is my 4th day in a row. Can you believe this crap?
Oh, that's great. But I have a question for you. I guess technically if it comes all the way down
Wait, I'm here.
Push into the corner.
Okay, Daniel. Oh, when he's on the phone, yeah, he'll go next.
I'm not. I'm right here.
Well, you'll go next.
I'm ready here on bloody knees to get to the phone.
You'll go next. Go ahead, Brian.
But how can Ashley say it was a business decision when they really didn't have much choice? Charlie Carr.
Tell me why they didn't have much.
I'm about to tell you that.
Great.
Because Charlie Carr of the FCC literally told them we could do this the easy way or we could do it the hard way.
And Disney is a $200 billion company, so why didn't Disney say, fuck you, we'll do it the hard way?
Because what if they did pull their license? No matter how rich they are, they're not going to be able to sustain a year or more in the court while the lights are turned off.
You can't turn them off until the case is over.
It's clearly government censorship.
You can't turn the lights off. Hello?
Yes, they can.
Really? Okay, well, go ahead.
I mean, Trump has got the Supreme Court in his pocket. I mean, they could easily put an injunction and pull their license and keep it pulled until the court's over.
An injunction is.
And then the injunction could be appealed and overturned and then stayed.
Yeah, and the injunction is only going to be legal in a certain geographical description. Nationwide injunctions are no longer permissible.
Yeah, hey, Marshall, that's right. Now it's only an injunction. It works in only the one district you're in, right?
Correct.
Thank you, Donald Trump and the Supreme Court. Yeah, go ahead, Brian. Please, go ahead, Brian.
I still think it's government,
No, I know you do. It's a big conspiracy. I get it. I understand. It's okay.
How can you say it's conspiracy? I mean, the guy said it himself. It's in the news.
I'm being facetious.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just never thought I would see this kind of thing happening in the United States, and compounded on top of everything else that's been happening with covering up the slavery and taking stuff out of the Smithsonian and the parks and canceling research off the government websites. I mean, all of this is just it's plain censorship. And then
don't forget about the aliens. Don't forget about the aliens in Roswell.
Well,
can you tell me what was removed? What was
I'm trying to at least keep it in. But
what was removed from the Smithsonian?
The stuff about slavery.
What specifically?
Do I have to give you a list?
No, you can say you don't know. Just say you don't know.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, we'll move on. Just say you don't know.
In general, it's stuff about slavery that Trump didn't want in the Smithsonian.
Right, I understand in general, but specifically you don't know,
I do not have a list of individual items. No.
Okay, that's fine. No problem. All right, Brian, thank you. Thank you very much. Brian, it's a different show than the weekend. It's nice to see me we're 4 days in a row, but this is a different show than the weekend. Go on mute, please. Please go on mute, Brian.
Didn't I go on mute?
Brian, please go on mute. Somebody will help you. Let's go to hang on a second, let's see who's after Brian. I got Kitty. Hi, Kitty.
Oh, wait, you said you let Daniel go.
No, I'm sorry. No, that's right. Thank you for reminding. Daniel, you're up. Hi, Daniel. It's a weekday show on 4 days in a row. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Okay. I got hit. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. It's just funny. I mean, in my state, you know what they're doing in my state? All the teachers licensing.
What state are you in?
Virginia, beautiful state of Virginia. If you say something controversial about Charlie Kirk, you could lose your teaching license, which is just
fucking funny. I remember.
Yeah, but Daniel,